Good.
All right. So, hello everybody, and welcome to Answer the Call. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. We don't have the intro thing. I have it saved in a bunch of places, and it's literally gone from all of those places. So I have no idea what's going on at the moment. So here we are. Answer the Call is a Star Citizen podcast with me and Croncy, where we talk about basically the going on in Star Citizen each week or a specific topic. Typically, one main topic as well as all the general going on news. I decided that the main topic today should be, is the state of Star Citizen 323 starting to concern any of us? The way things are going. Me and Croncy have a bet down, a friendly little bet. Croncy thinks that the hangars are going to make it in. I don't think that they're going to make it in. That is into 3.23.0. And the bet is going to be, he creates a character for me and I have to use it if I lose, and vice versa if he loses. So we're going to have some fun with that.
For the entire patch cycle. Till next major patch, I think. Yeah? Till like a 324 or a 4.0, essentially.
No.
No?
No, if it gets in 323.1, I think it's
No, I mean, you have to keep that character until... like fair. A 4.0 or a 320. Yeah. Because otherwise it's like, hey, look, here's the Invictus patch 5 days later. Now I don't have to use the character.
Agreed. Fair. Totally fair. I thought you meant if the hangar doesn't make it in.
No. I do think it's going to make it into 0.0. And honestly, it might not be a bad way to start today off, is like talking about some stuff that might be missing. Obviously, you guys see that, it's wave 1 now. The 323 it's public, essentially.
It's wave 1 with quotes around it. This is an Evo patch.
Yeah.
It should not be wave 1.
Yeah. It's definitely an Evo patch, though even then, the Evo... Because I finally got into Evo this week. The Evo that I had the day before it went into wave 1 was much better. Was much smoother. It had bugs, obviously, but yeah.
Today's experience was the worst experience I've had out of the entire 323 testing I've done.
Including all the other Evocardis?
Yes.
Crazy. But yeah, like it's not surprising. It's been bad.
Yeah, but it is concerning a little bit, and not even on the topic either, but it's another version of concern, I guess, where Evo is just unable at the moment. Maybe now that all you guys are joined, the first few Evo patches will be better with this in the future. But Evo at the moment is unable to not focus test, stability test, or like slam servers. Because we go wave 1, a lot more people have access to wave 1, and now all of a sudden we're starting to see new instability, all these super delayed things, like all the things that we kind of saw around 318 when we were actually able to log into it. We're starting to see a lot of those issues happen. And that is a little bit concerning from the Evo standpoint of, we can't get this actually into a wave 1-able experience right away through Evo, unfortunately. But then on a positive note, maybe I think if they are willing to go to wave 1 with something like this, they need to just make Evo open. Like, if this is a streamable experience, why wasn't Evo? And like, I don't care from a content perspective. Like when it comes to content, nobody is going to want to make content in Evo or show it that much. Like, it is a awful experience. Like, for example, I played Gun Rush most of today. You played the engineering thing most of today, right? Like, we're not in the PU because it's a bad experience. But I don't know. How do you feel about all that? You're kind of new to Evo, obviously, but it is interesting that we still can't stability test or slam servers enough with that group to get it to a place where the wider gaming audience is going to see it, right?
Yeah. There's a couple of things I think about the patch itself at the moment, which one of them, so the stability has been absolutely horrendous, but it has been essentially the only real problem that I've had with the patch. The vast majority of features don't have a crazy amount of bugs, which I'd normally expect for a wave 1. Like,
I'm confused.
So I was a little bit surprised by that. Like, all of the issues I'm having with 323 are stability based, not bug based.
But you don't get to see all of the bugs because there's no stability.
Well, I've gotten to see enough. I've been able to play 8 hours worth of wave 1 without, like that isn't just me, watching a screen with server error.
Well, I get fair, but like,
you know what I mean?
You go to a distro center and you're randomly exploding because you don't see any guns firing at you. Do you call that a stability issue or do you call that a bug?
Well, that's a bug, but that's what I'm saying. I haven't experienced that. The
Okay.
vast majority of features for me have been at least half decent.
Okay.
But the stability has been much worse than what I was wanting.
Yeah.
I do think because of that overall, I think we're in a better position than we were with like Wave 1 318, but that was a uniquely bad beast, which is why, as to the question here, I don't think it's concerning yet. Give me another couple of days or another couple of Wave 1 patches, and we'll see where
Probably
we're
through
at.
this coming week, right?
This coming week, yeah, for sure.
Think it's going to be a very
But yeah,
killing week.
yeah. Whether we
Roadmap
get some
update
of the
this
missing
week too.
feather whether stuff works, who knows? Yep,
So
exactly.
we
So
we might
we
we
could see
might
some
have our
stuff pushed.
we might have the answer to our bet on Wednesday. And I'm nervous. I don't want to win
Yeah,
this bet. I want to lose this bet, people. I
yeah,
really want to lose this bet.
yeah.
It's only concerning for me because I don't. What's your level of excitement for 323 right now?
Still
I'm
pretty
not.
darn high, especially after today.
Oh God, mine is so low. So what is making yours high?
Engineering helped a lot today. The
It
just like
does. It does.
that is such an amazing mechanic, and very cool, very reminiscent of like the Sea of Thieves repair your ship mechanic, but with like a couple of extra added layers onto it, and obviously like a sci-fi aesthetic rather than here's some wood panels on a hole. Um,
Tell me
that
more.
was
Like,
really really cool.
go deeper into it. Tell me more about your experience with it
Mhm.
and what you really liked and what you didn't. Because obviously I've experienced it as well. I think you experienced
Yeah,
a more polished experience than I might have had so far
probably.
because
Yeah.
I haven't gotten in since I believe they added some fixes. But I'm very
hmm
curious on your feelings about it.
Yeah. So like we went in with also we did it through the custom lobbies, which very buggy, but they work. So
Hmm.
that's just a short offhand thing of awesome. Very happy
Yeah,
with
looking forward to
that.
them.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really cool to go. The UI was pretty damn decent. It does need a couple of fixes with like the
It's hard to see
in
things.
typical Star Citizen fashion, yeah, hard to see things, hard to read words. Though, unlike other UI issues, the one there, I think everything's just too small. It just literally just needs to
Yes.
be bigger on the screen.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but
you
very
can
easy to
zoom in,
understand.
but
You
the
can, but the icons don't change size. They
exactly they
yeah,
don't scale.
yeah. But yeah,
Putting a
being
new
able to
play in it.
see, lovely. Being able to see exactly where your power routes was awesome. Being able to see the different effects that essentially happen to your ship if certain fuses are destroyed or if you've powered off certain sections was really cool. Like we noticed, it was very funny if you have no fuses in your cockpit fuse box. Yeah, you can't fly the ship,
You
so
can't do anything.
you
It
can't
it
do
is
anything, which is really cool.
it's I don't know if they did any changes to that, but the if the
Mhm.
cockpit goes out, shields every like you are
Yeah,
dead. And it
yeah.
was like that was one of our experiences that we were like, this is uh like that is maybe bottleneck is not the right word, but it was like, damn, why would you shoot anywhere else on the ship?
Because they have a higher. I don't know if it's with resistance or if it's like whatever it is. It is harder to kill those fuses if you are shooting at them.
Oh, maybe
So you
now.
are
It
better
wasn't
off.
again, it wasn't
Yeah,
for it was a rough experience for us, so they might have listened to some
yeah, yeah,
feedback on our end.
yeah.
How many fuses were in the cockpit next to the panel? Was I think I just saw 3.
Yeah, I
We
believe
had
it's
2.
3. But that's the other that's the other thing. I actually really like that they've got that as a system. So
Yep.
in each one of the relays, you've got at least on the A2 2 to 3 spots
Mhm.
for each of your fuses, which is a really easy way to balance the mechanic
Yep.
of like literally patch to patch. They can be like A2 is too OP. We're removing a fuse from here, or it's not, it needs more. We can put fuses there.
Yeah.
And they're sort of redundancies. So if you are taking a bunch of damage and you're taking all of that damage, let's say to like your engines at the back, right, where they're going to try to take down your quantum drive, there's fuse boxes there. Each of those have 3 on them, right? So that's
Yeah.
obviously means the A2, at least, very, very protective of that part of the ship. And so it has that redundancy. If that becomes too much, too OP, they can take one off and they can make it so that's not a case.
Yep.
That's awesome. I
Yep.
love that. It's such a sick mechanic. The like you can see here, the the lines are really easy to see where all the power is going. One weird thing, I'm not sure the batteries are working properly. But this is not only wave one, but it's also experimental mode, so I wouldn't be surprised by that. But like we essentially, had the fuse boxes near both of the power plants turned off, but we were still getting all of our power at the front. But the batteries shouldn't have been supplying power there because fuses. It was weird. So
Okay.
there's something going on there, or it just hasn't been explained of how that stuff's supposed to work. Um, but overall, it's such a sick mechanic. I'm really really excited to see that expand. But keep in mind, while this is a 323 feature, it's an experimental mode feature. So this won't be in live. This will just be for us to essentially test how we've been testing master modes the last like 6 months.
Have you seen when your radar turns off? What
Yes, you can't
happens?
target anything.
It's fucking awesome. So,
Yeah.
like in our test, what we tried to do was shoot that exact part of the ship to try to get the radar turned off, so they
Mhm.
can't attack us back. It didn't
Yeah.
quite work because in our playtest, unfortunately, you just blew up as well. The A2 just didn't have enough health. So
Yeah.
before you got to it was almost like the old FPS experience where you would
Mhm.
die really quickly and you wouldn't see any injuries, to where we are today where you die less quickly and you do experience more injuries, right? So it's like they just need to balance it to get to that place. And you might be there in the builds that you played, but we were
Mhm.
absolutely not. We were like barely
Sure.
damaging the thing, and the ship was blowing up before you got to experience like a lot of fuses going out. Um,
Yeah.
the one thing I want to say is what I saw other people saying under the comments in my videos. I don't know what you saw in your stream.
Mhm.
Concern wise, people were like, "Oh, I don't want to. I don't want to run around like Sea of Thieves. I don't want to run around like doing these things." Obviously, one of the first thoughts we had in when we were testing it is soloing an A2 is dead. Soloing a
Yeah.
C2 is
Good.
dead. Yeah, I was curious.
Good.
Like, do you think that's good?
Yeah.
Do you think that's bad? I think it's good and
Mhm.
bad. Because MMOs, majority of the players are going to be solo players, and if they're like
Mhm.
kind of linchpinned into single seater ships, I don't think that that's a great experience overall for the game. But obviously, we have NPC crews in the future and things like that.
Mhm.
So it's I don't want to. I want like I agree, good, but I don't want to like point and laugh and be like, "You're screwed, loser." Now, you shouldn't have bought a big ship or something, right? I just
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
hope it's good, but you're gonna have these options, and maybe it's gonna be a huge cost or whatever, right? Because
Mhm.
it should cost a lot or should be very hard to maintain because honestly, it's hard to get a group together, right? So those two things need to
Yeah.
be balanced as well. So yeah, I just we'll see from that perspective, but it's also you will not be able to solo a large ship in combat
Yeah.
as
Exactly.
well. That's
Yeah.
one of the key things there is that if the game provides you an experience that is a little bit more chill in some areas with a little less reward, you will be able to solo that ship. You will be able to run some cargo, but you should not
Mhm.
be able to make a ton of profit or a ton of reward
Yeah.
from it without that risk of being engaged in some combat, maybe, right? So
Yep.
I love the idea
To
that,
answer some of those hypothetical. Well, I mean, I'm sure they exist, but whoever they are that said those things in comments or whatnot, the in regards to like, I don't want to have to play like Sea of Thieves. Cool. There are people that do, so those are the people that you're going to hire to get onto your ship and do that activity. That's exactly how MMOs work. I don't want to heal. Cool. Go get a healer. You don't have to heal. Someone else
yeah,
can do that for you.
just to some
Um,
extent. It's weird. It's so weird because MMOs, that is, you're 100% right.
mm,
That's how MMOs work. Star Citizen seems to have this like gate that makes it so much harder to get that healer because
oh, of course it does. Yeah. There's no
you're
integrated
on,
system in the game yet.
yeah, because like you might be on Crusader and they might be at Microtech,
Hmm.
and then it's like, all right, wait for 30 minutes for them to come and then
Yep.
fly back to another place to actually do the combat that you were wanting to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's like the biggest issue with it for me, is that
I will
it
say
just isn't ready for it.
that I don't think that's going to be an issue with ships like an A2, this highly specialized military ship that you're only bringing to bomb people with, right? You're
What do you
going to be
mean?
part of like
How does
you're
the
only going to
the
bring out
guy over
A2s.
here and I'm over there
No,
have anything to do with what ship you're using? What are you I
because
guess
if
what are you commenting on?
so the idea of you using an A2, the most times that you're going to use an A2 is part of some bigger op. Most of the time, I don't imagine there will be many reasons to risk bringing an A2 out. Even like the only reason people bring it out now is because it's too easy to use, right? The bombs are too OP and they're just easy. It's just easy gameplay. I imagine that's not going
Or
to be the
it's
case in the
fun or
future.
whatever, right?
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Being fun is 100% a thing,
Yeah.
but I'm saying like that's why people solo it specifically, is because everyone can do it. Claim time is what, like 10 minutes.
They solo it cuz
There's
they
there's no
can.
risks or anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
they solo it because they can.
Mhm.
That's not going to be the case in the future, and so you're not going to use the A2s like that. The ships that you will still want to get other people for, like maybe a C2 or a maybe a much larger military vehicle that just requires a lot more people, like a hammerhead. I think you will wait the length of time, I would imagine, because you're probably
Mm.
going to be out using those ships for a much longer time. I don't know if anything of what I just said makes sense, but I
um
don't think it's an issue, is essentially where I'm trying to come from.
all right, I'm
And
just
if
going
you
to tell you
do
this.
still want to solo these kinds of ships, you're going to have that ability, but you cannot ever expect, and I think it is a little bit ridiculous to ever expect, that you can solo those ships and expect to do as good as someone who is fully crewed. And that's part of what engineering does. If you are a fully
I
crewed
agree with that.
A2
Yeah.
versus a solo A2, that fully crewed A2 has someone who can go and move all of these fuses, someone who can repair all the components, which it was there, but I don't think it's working at the moment. The repairing components, it didn't
No, it
seem to
doesn't
be
appear to
actually
be.
working.
Yeah.
Um, but you're going to have someone to do all that. Cool. You're going to roll over that other person. And I don't think that other person is really allowed to complain for that.
That's fair. I think one of the major complaints is like I wanted to make sure I brought up my gameplay on the screen because of I think this is what was freaking people out was I was just
Mhm.
constantly running around the ship and checking the lights on the fuses because we were testing,
Yep. Sure.
right? So it just looked too chaotic for people, I think. And I think it was
Okay.
see, I'm just like like
See, I
constantly
think,
checking.
yeah, I
See,
think
look,
the
mine
A2,
only had two
yeah,
fuses. Yeah, at that panel. Cool. So they did change that.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what people were freaking out about that, and they weren't realizing that yeah, we're in an arena commander mode. We're taking fire.
Mhm.
We don't know how long it takes for these things to be broken and everything. So we were just like, it was a learning experience. So running around and
Yeah,
you wanted to be on top of it as much as you could.
yeah.
But yeah,
I do think there is going to be an element of running around and stuff like that, and it's when
yeah.
your A2 is getting shot at by a ton of people and you can't get away, and that's supposed to be a bit of a hectic situation, right? Where you're panicking about where you're going to repair, where you're going to chuck your fuses. I think the A2 is a little bit of a weird one for us to be the first thing to check out engineering, because at the moment it feels a little bit weird of whether it should be one person or two people running around doing these tasks. But that
Well, I
may
think
be in
that's the
relation to
point.
just how much damage the A2 takes. Um,
I think
but
that's
yeah,
kind of the point is to figure out what's the whole point of this is to go, okay, here's the system.
mhm,
Is it fun? And if
yeah,
not, how can we make it fun? And how many people should be crewing these ships? And where's that fun middle ground that we want to have? So I think people are
yeah,
spazzing out a little bit with
mhm,
how fun it looks or not or whatever. The whole point of this is it's not in the game yet. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
The whole
Yeah,
point is it's not in the game yet, and this is where we find out how fun
yeah,
it is or how not fun it is and all that
yeah.
stuff. But I love the
I will
idea
say,
of the
yeah,
ship starting out with less of the
less than
uh
its capacity.
not less than its capacity. I don't know. That was kind of weird. I know that that's the direction, and I was very happy with the direction that they were going in.
Hmm.
The the way it's visualized to me was very difficult to understand a little bit at times
Okay.
because of the UI of like, okay, I'm turning this off. What am I trying to do where with the green line and the red line and stuff like that to try to get the battery right? I was just basically waiting until the battery started charging instead of depleting,
Hmm.
and that was it. Um, and deciding what to turn off was fairly simple in this game mode. You just turn off the quantum
Yep.
drive, you know what I mean? But
Yep.
the overall experience on that, I think, probably needs some more love or tweaking or more time.
Yep.
But overall, I think this is a good thing. But
Hmm.
is it in a place where it's like ship it to live? Hell no.
No, not at
Of
all.
course not. Absolutely not. And
But yeah, that's why it's going to be in an experimental mode for
yeah.
at minimum the next 3 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get plenty of time to test it. I tried. I'm not 100% sure, or maybe you can do it in free flight. Can you do A2 versus A2?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
In
So
free
yeah, I'll have
flight.
to do. I have to try
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I'll have to try that out in free flight because I really want
There's
to
also squad battle.
do that.
So
There is squad battle, but when I did squad battle, it seemed to be only gladiuses versus one A2, and you couldn't change
oh, that was the other mode.
ships.
That was duel or something like that. But
No, it was squad battle.
oh, okay. Well, there's another mode.
Yeah,
Maybe it was free fly. There, we just spawned two A2s. Like even in the clip, you
yeah,
saw
yeah,
5 people die at once. It was because the A2 that I was
yeah, yeah.
running around on killed the other A2. Like we
Yeah,
just
yeah,
had
okay,
people in
yeah,
turrets at that time. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm really liking it. I'm
Hmm.
liking the start. I like the idea of the um God, I'm so lacking
The
sleep right now.
fuses.
The fuses a little bit, and the fact that they're redundant, so you don't have to
Hmm.
run around as much. Like the person who's
Yep.
looking at the engineering panel can be like, "Yo, you're down to one fuse over there, brother," and then you go
Yeah,
over
you might
and
want to. Yeah.
yeah, you might want to go deal with that. So you instead of me running around like an idiot looking at little green lights that are not going out,
Hmm.
there's somebody that's got a panel and can see all that stuff very easily, right? And
Yeah.
they're just be like, "Yo, Mike, the fuses are going out by the quantum drive. We might want to replace a few." Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Go over there and do that. So I don't think it'll be as detrimental. And I think you bring up a really nice point. Oh, this is something I want to show. Actually, I'm watching it
Mhm.
in the background. I got on the engineering panel,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
like I guess our game mode just started, and I went into the room
Hmm.
system, the room part of it, and I knew there was another guy who was going to be running around the ship. So I just opened up all the doors
Yes.
for him.
Yep.
Yeah, I just opened up all the doors so he can run down the hallway and that
Yep.
he had the doors open for all the components and everything like that.
Mhm.
Right? I think it's cool.
Yep.
So that was like
Yeah.
just a
Very cool.
nice little I like this.
Yeah.
you know?
I think that just like weirdly in general of 323, all of the icons for everything new, everything revamped and whatever is so chef's kiss. Everything looks exactly like what I want it to look like and makes it really easily identifiable, which is great.
They're just like
Um,
you said earlier,
yeah.
small, needs to be more easily
Yeah.
read. This is the part that I
Yep.
struggled with the most was
Hmm.
the battery kind of making that clear and understandable to the player. I think
Yeah. Yep.
everything here needs to be completely obvious, super easy to understand, and then
Hmm.
what is mastered by the player are the choices that you make with the
Yep.
information you have. But the information given to the player should be very, very obvious, and I think they're not doing the best job of that at the moment. And
Yep.
whatever, that'll be okay, I
Yeah.
guess.
One nice sort of change that I would like to see on just this panel as well, which we do get in the new star map, which is just I want to see the party markers in this map. I can already see them when I open up my map in the
Where the
ship.
players are.
So yeah, it would just be nice to see where all of my party
Yeah,
members
like
are in the ship.
if you were
Just
on
make
this
it a little bit
gun,
easier.
hey, Croncy,
Yeah.
I don't have enough power. I got to turn off one of your guns. You want to switch
Hmm.
turrets? Yeah.
Yeah, it would just be a nice little thing. I don't think it makes the experience worse at all. I think it would just be be much better. So
Hmm.
hopefully we get something like that. But obviously, as you can see, this UI is while the models and stuff are pretty well done and seem like they're somewhat set in stone. The UI itself it looks like it's still got tons of work to do.
Yeah.
Um, so I imagine we'll see some stuff. Another thing, sorry, because I just remember it now, and this may be a thing we see on even larger ships, and I'm talking about like, you know, Idrises and stuff, is more redundant lines. So like when you're going from like a power plant to the cockpit or something, having two lines where you've got fuses going like either way and being able to choose which one of those you prioritize or whatnot would be really cool.
Yeah.
And that maybe they think that they do. It's just when I saw this, I was like, that would be the perfect like, reallocating power to a section of the ship. That's how you would do it, sort of things. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I sort of agree, but then I also like the idea of game knowledge being a thing. So it's like, for example, I know exactly what fuse I'm gonna hit with the C2 or whatever, or the A2. I'm trying to hit this
Yeah,
one
yeah,
right here. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's like you kind of you
Or
kind of want
the
them.
one of the power plant ones. Yeah,
Yeah, or for me, I mean, we were really trying to go for the radar because
yeah.
in this case, you know, they turned off their quantum drive, so they can't run or
Yeah.
anything. So what do you want to do? You just want them to be unable to fight back. Like if I was
Hmm.
pirating their ship, what would I go for first? First, I would go for their inability to run, and then I would go for
Yep.
their inability to fire. So I'm just like, oh, it. I want redundancy, but it just
Hmm.
you can. I feel like you can go two ways. You have the
Hmm.
redundancy with the fuses already, so there's kind of that there. So when you
Yeah,
knock them out, the player should be rewarded, perhaps,
yeah.
as well.
Fair
And
enough.
then, so it's like I think you can go one or the other. And then
Hmm.
you want the ability, like for me, the one thing that I'm very curious of what the future holds is
Hmm.
distortion with all this. Because this all kind of
Yes.
like makes distortion not the way we understand distortion
Yeah, it needs
not
to
make
change.
sense. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
what they want to do with that in the future, maybe distortion is way like temporarily shuts down
Mhm.
fuses, like doesn't destroy them, or maybe it destroys them more quickly or something,
Maybe it doesn't
right?
do anything to fuses. Maybe it like reduces your just reduces your power plant's output, and then that makes you have to panic and you know turn
Yeah.
off stuff, move stuff.
Yep.
Whatever
I
they
mean,
end up doing would be interesting.
yeah, I mean whatever they end up doing, we really want I just I want the outcomes that we have in Star Citizen today, where
Mhm.
the you currently have like if you turn the power plant off, that thing is off for 5 minutes or whatever, right? It gives you the
Yeah.
chance to board. So we still need that experience. Like I think that they're on to something and are in the right place with you disable this guy, you get 5 minutes, you got to board him, and then the ship is yours. We
Yeah.
still need that experience through this system, I
Hmm.
think, and I don't know we're definitely not there at the moment, right? The ship is blowing up
Yeah.
more than it's being disabled in my experience,
Yeah.
I don't know about yours. Do you still feel the same way a little bit?
I was saying earlier,
Not
I
enough
think it
time.
does have a little less health, but like we weren't doing like full combat. We were just testing like what happens when this takes damage or this
Gotcha.
gets
So you
removed,
still need a
whatnot.
little bit more time with it. Yeah, we went
Yeah,
straight
yeah.
into combat. We weren't we
Nice.
were less we were way less of the like let's turn this thing off when we
Yeah,
went.
yeah.
We were just straight up combat. But yeah, I'm just curious what they do with that. But out of because I have my feelings about the hangars, I feel like this is where I'm going to be spending most of my time in 323 is just joining random games of this and trying to have fun with that
Yeah.
kind of thing. I
I
I
think
will
this is
say,
this is my racing from last patch. So I'll be in this a fair bit.
dude, I asked DJ if
Yeah.
there was going to be a reward for Gravlev racing, and he was
Mhm.
like, "The reward is you beating your last score," and I was like, "Damn it!" Like I want a coin or something for the Gravlev. Like get under 40
Yeah.
seconds, get a coin. Like I think that's
Yeah.
challenging enough for the average player. I think that'd be super sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no.
There's one last thing I want to talk about specifically with just the I know I said that like three times already, but with,
I want to hit
with the
something else.
engineering,
I want to hit something else with
I
engineering as well.
I really like that they made the fuses like destructible to like FPS weapons. I think
Yes.
that's super cool, sick. Like I've boarded or
Sneaky
I've snuck
borders.
onto your ship. Oh, why don't I have power to my quantum drive? Who knows? This is crazy.
No.
Yeah, it's just a cool little touch. It's good.
So I'm gonna look for it in my YouTube video
Hmm.
if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. I think one of the things I liked. I don't think there's an example of it from my perspective because I don't think I died.
Oh,
But in this game mode where it's the Gladius against the A2,
hmm.
it's a round based mode. So when the
Yeah.
Gladius dies, the Gladius sits out until the next round. So
Hmm.
it's like kind of like a CS:GO round or something like we've
Yeah. Yeah.
never had one of these before.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out that like it's not in a negative way. It's been 12
Yeah. Yeah.
years. We haven't had this. It's awesome that we have this. Right?
Hmm.
Cuz now it's like death matters. You don't just
Yeah.
respawn and go again like you do in every other game mode that we have. It's not just like
Hmm.
the constant recycling. Like it's the first time that death is like super meaningful for all the players that are participating in the mode at that moment.
Yeah.
And I love that. So very excited about that. So just wanted to point that out. Again, I think that's the squad battle mode, like you said, because
Yeah.
you did today. So I'm definitely going to trust on you on that one. And because there's 3 modes. There's duo, I think. There's
Yeah, like
free
pool.
flight
Yeah.
and squad. And squad pits. You're either on the A2 team and you spawn on the A2 and you communicate with your friends, or
Hmm.
you spawn in the group of gladiuses that are meant to take down the ship. And this is
Yeah.
the mode I'm going to be playing
Hmm.
the most. What I hope they do is turn on VoIP.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I
Or the
can be
worst,
like, hey,
as long as we can toggle it.
hey, dummy. And I'm this is in the patch notes, but just in case people aren't aware, scanning the ship is what allows you to target subcomponents. But I was only ever able to target engines. I don't know if the power plants and things like that are in yet. So
They're physically there, but I don't know if they're
guys,
targetable.
we got breaking news. DJ Bunton in chat says I'm working on that right now, and I think he's talking about the VoIP. Because if you guys remember the original AC update, VoIP was on, and all you heard was people's hot miking, and it was not a great experience, so they turned it off. But I think in a mode like this, he did confirm VoIP. I think in a mode like this, it's required. So unfortunately, you might hear the vacuum in the background sometimes, but it is way more important to yell at your teammates and tell them how fucking bad they are at the game than not being able to. So I cannot wait to get toxic. It's going to be great.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a lot of time talking about engineering. And I think a lot of that, at least for me, is because that's what I just did, like just before the pod. You know, it's what I finally got to try out today, and it is a big deal for sure.
I think for me, I'm sorry. I think I was unable to experience the last 2 patches of PTU just because I just was not home, and I'm sorry I wasn't prepared for you guys today. But in my experience, distribution centers are locations with nothing, right? Now, the last couple patches, I do believe there's a lot more missions there, and there are actually things to do. In the previous patches, there was only an unlawful mission, and like I had mentioned to you earlier, the turrets would shoot at you. You didn't know they were shooting at you. You just died. So distro centers were like incredibly, they were a huge disappointment for me up to this point. But it's Evo, so I'm not like freaking out about it. It's just like up to this point, I'm not finding them very interesting. This was super exciting for me. So for me, out of all the things we've talked last week that I'm enjoying and think is the coolest, it would be this and the FPS changes. Did you do any gun rush at all?
Didn't do any gun rush, and unfortunately was unable to get like any FPS missions. So all I was really able to do was just shoot nothing. So I haven't had like a proper experience with any of the gun changes. I will say the distro centers, I fully disagree. They are the best locations in Star Citizen right now, 100% by far. They are.
I'm not disagreeing with
sick.
they are the best locations in Star Citizen, but they're Star Citizen locations. They are filled with things to look. They are visually stunning, but they are not built with gameplay in mind first.
I do disagree with that. I think they are built with gameplay in mind first. The way that like navigating around those locations, they were made for FPS and for stealth 100% in like just every aspect. Now there's like no missions there at the moment, so you know we can't really experience that. But going around there, like this feels like level design. You know, it feels like actual level design.
There's a lot of cover there, if that's what you mean.
No, like even like the way that you have different choices of how you're actually going through the distribution center. All of the sneaky little back entrances, all of the different like height levels that you can go through the entire distribution center, and that's both outside and inside.
Okay, fair. But hear me out from this perspective.
Hmm.
There is the sneaky areas and all that stuff. Yes. Okay. From the perspective of the two of us who are very interested in certain things,
Hmm.
they here's what bothers me about them, and you know, hammer me if you want, and maybe I deserve it. There is a sign at the distribution center that says refinery over there. And 95% of the refinery location is a bunch of nonsensical ladders and like bridges and things and smokestacks and all these things without any refinery experience. Like, listen, I don't have to have a refinery experience at that location in 323.0, but I need to be able to look at it and go, gameplay can exist here. You know what I'm saying? And then the cargo deck area, same thing. It's tons of static assets, nothing that I'm seeing as the player that I'm going to be interacting with as much. I do see the freight elevator there, obviously, right? So, but since it's not actually functioning and working, it's hard to be like, okay, so this is what's happening, right? So like, yeah, feel free to respond to that. But when I went to that location, I went, sure, tons of areas for cover. I do see the locations to sneak in. I do recognize that the AI is still the AI in Star Citizen, and there's a 0% chance that any of that type of gameplay can exist in the current experience right now. So what are we doing at these? Like, I feel like it is a 323 very visually focused experience at the distribution centers, and I am absolutely excited about the potential that they have, but there's parts of it that I'm very disappointed in, and I think the refinery one is like, how many polygons, how much is my server FPS going down for all of this here that does absolutely nothing, right?
So my counter for that specific example of like, you explained like the refinery, yes, it may have like some like level implications, but there's like no, would you say it seems like there's no vision for it or something? Or
what it tells me is that the people who would be designing the crafting, refining, and all that gameplay does not have the level of input that somebody who gets to say this looks fucking cool does. That's what I get from the distribution centers. Do you have that same level of concern or feeling that I do?
No. Specifically, a lot of that may come from the fact that they've got like a lot of placeholder usables in like all of those locations in places that would make sense for a future gameplay of some type. Specifically, we use the refineries as an example.
Not to interrupt,
when I'm saying usables, I'm saying like screens.
Thank you. Yeah,
so you can use them.
That's what I wanted to ask, because people,
so you can use them, but right now they do nothing.
Yeah, people get upset when I interrupt, and I don't mean to, but before you moved on from that, I was very curious, because I was curious if you meant like the shipping containers or
yeah, no,
what?
it's fair. It's a relevant clarification. So I'm talking about screens essentially, or like stations that think of it like that sort of way. Think of like the ore sales or like the refinery like kiosk that's at your the space refineries.
There's
a lot of those
kiosk at the refinery area, but there is a building that a door doesn't open, so maybe in there.
There is, but then there's also all of these placeholder. There's all of these placeholder screens that right now you can use, and it puts you into an animation to use them, but it does nothing. They are essentially placeholder. There's a ton of those. They also all make sense where they are. Like one of them, the very top of a refinery pipe where there's like a bunch of wires and stuff coming in. Some of them at the very bottom, where maybe you've got to put some stuff in. Who knows? Whether this gets used or not is entirely speculation.
No,
but that says to me that
you are calming my concerns down way more when you say that you're able to interact with, because they wouldn't make that interaction if the intention wasn't for us to use them.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Otherwise, they would just put the static,
exactly,
like just the static asset.
And an NPC would stand there and do nothing. You know what I mean? So that makes me a lot more comfortable because I haven't seen that experience for myself yet. So that might
Yep.
be a later patch thing. So that makes me a little bit better feeling when it
Yeah.
comes to that because that I was feeling like they were super empty and we weren't going to do anything. That tells me
Mm.
that there is some intention there. Where I don't see any of that is at the refinery area. And again, I think that still is an example of that's been Star Citizen, man. All the settlements are the same. Like there's so
We
much.
we always get locations first. That's always been a thing in Star Citizen for sure.
Yeah, yeah, of course we do because we never get the
Yeah.
gameplay at them. I'm same with the
Yeah.
settlements as well for the current time, right? It's hard to
Mhm.
say we only get the locations first when second never happens. So second needs to start happening,
Yeah.
and I really hope it does.
Yeah. I will say if we so I imagine that a lot of the missions that we're going to get for these distro centers for like live release will just be eliminate all, eliminate specific, deliver. You know, a lot of the basic missions we have right now. If we can get the like wave-based missions that we have in the underground bunkers at these locations, I think that brings way more value and fun to those locations because they look like they're a lot more fun for that sort of thing. Like right now, you go to a wave-based mission in a bunker, and you sit in front of the elevator the entire time, and there's also only 2 levels to worry about, so it's just too easy to go around. Give me a bit of a challenge in movement, and that's what I think these locations can do because it's a lot more open on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, I
Even on
think.
the inside, there's
Sorry.
like it's extra. Just there's more space, more place to run around, more place to have to secure. Can make
Yeah,
that mission a lot more enjoyable.
the larger location makes it a little bit more challenging, but I
Yeah,
still think we'll be running around to elevators and shooting guys who aren't coming out of them. Unfortunately, for the time being, it just
probably.
is like I think it would be crazy to think that um, we are going to get significant changes to AI experiences in 323. So
Mm, yep.
again, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. But because I am overall like look at the locations and go, these are huge. I just look at them and go, I really want to see them utilize them
Yeah,
in a way that
of
is
course.
exciting, new, and fun.
Hmm.
Like deliver
Yep.
the amount of gameplay that you are delivering the amount of visuals, and you're gonna get a lot more love from me than you are at the
Yeah.
moment. But because they're currently my biggest disappointment in of what features are in the current patch
Okay. Yeah.
for
Um,
now.
let's go to my biggest disappointment of features in the patch:
Let's do it.
the creatures. I'm
Yeah.
really disappointed in the creatures. I thought they would be way cooler than they are. Now, once again, it could be an instance of exactly what you were saying before. It's AI being AI,
Hmm.
or maybe I just haven't seen enough of a variation of them because I've been told that apparently there are like different skins of the copians. I still haven't seen any birds, but apparently there's different skins of the copians around. Um, still early days for the check, but I thought they'd be a little bit cooler. And I think maybe that's just a case of I have to wait until we get creatures V2. These are the first time we've had non human AI in the game at all, and so I don't know. Maybe I was just expecting more. I kind of really wanted to have stuff like the Microtech Yeti, like some big boss creature that I had to fight rather than just all these dogs and stuff. They're still cool. It's just I thought that would be cooler.
Yeah. I I think I really hammered home what I thought was important about them during the Evo test when nobody can see them, and it
Mhm.
was the description of the horn. I did not
Yeah.
make a big deal about anything else for a reason because again, expecting AI experiences to be the focus of the experience at the moment is not the way to look at Star Citizen right now, and
Yeah.
especially if you've been around for a while. It would just be kind of silly to expect anything more than an AI who stands there and makes noise and doesn't do anything.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
but for me, it's again like what the potential of it is. At least their description of it. Even the dog is interesting from the standpoint of if it's alone, it won't attack you. If it's in a group, it will.
Mhm.
Like what they want to do is cool. What we have right now is not, and
Yeah.
yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah. Like
I
yeah.
had them attack
It
me one
yeah.
time, and it was cool.
Yeah.
But
So
outside that, yeah,
I'm hoping my opinion on that changes as we go through the week. Maybe we get a better performing patch, and then I can feel it a bit better. But
yeah,
um, we'll see what that happens with that. I do want to also tell you, Mike, about one thing that just surprised me with just the patch
Okay.
and made me excited and sad at the same time that I was that excited about such a small thing. Which, you know, the very first day, wave one, I get into a server with a friend. We go and get a carrick, and we're checking out all the features and a lot of the stuff I'd already seen from Eva Cardi the night before.
Hmm.
But I had never been in a party. Get into the carrick. I'm like looking at the carrick map. Oh, very, very cool. And then I see my friend's party marker running through the carrick, and I know where they are in the carrick, and I can see them running through, and it just works perfectly.
Yep.
This is such a basic feature,
You
and
ready
I
for
feel
this?
like I've been like so deprived for so long, and it's just I love it so much. It's so
This
good.
one's gonna blow your brain. And I think
Yep.
it's D-Rack or Wanted Tiger that found this in the group that we
Mhm.
usually like play Evo with in Discord. This was while I was away and have not played, but I saw them discussing it, and I asked them
Yeah, yeah,
like if I missed anything, and they said we did the Xeno Threat event that's in the PTU right now. They're testing the last phase.
yeah, yeah.
They captured the Idris, and in order to easily find the cockpit, they used
Mhm.
the mini map, clicked cockpit, and went there. And the mini map just brought them right there. They killed the pilot, easy peasy. So like, making
So
a
good.
marker inside the ship and utilizing the mini
Yeah,
map
yeah.
was like they were just like, yeah, like oh, like chef's kiss kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
When oh man, it's just like we were talking what like last week or the week before about like it's really funny that like
Simple
the most
things.
anticipated feature of the game is like the maps, but like then you do it. It's like yeah, of course this has weirdly completely changed the game for me in so many aspects.
Yeah,
And the fact that it just
it'll be
works, like it
something that
doesn't seem very
you
buggy at all.
exactly, and it'll be something that you don't notice a year from now.
Yes,
It'll just
100%.
be
I will
something that
forget.
you do.
Yeah.
You will forget how big of a deal it was because it's just something you utilize all the time. And
Yeah.
we need a lot of that. And
Mhm.
and I'm glad we're getting it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's no doubt about they're making a lot of good decisions with some of these things.
Mhm.
I will say I had a routing issue when using quantum
Yep.
travel. I had an
Yep.
issue where I pressed B and my quantum travel stopped. All of the bugs I have in live with quantum travel exist in the PTU. What were we excited about? A visual change to to the star map? I thought we were going to fix a lot of the issues,
Are
and
you
we
sure it
didn't.
was a bug and not you accidentally switching back to SCM mode?
Yes.
Okay.
It was the quantum and then stop.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did not switch modes. It just spooled up again.
Okay.
I had
Not a
all of the
not like one
bugs.
of the lag bugs too, where you like accidentally did it twice and then it like recognizes. Because I had that happen
Nope.
where it's like, oh hey, it didn't work. Go for it again. Server finally realizes and then it takes me out of it.
It is a
Yeah.
visual change, and that's it. Now we have
Well,
a
it's a
chance.
mechanical change in that like you've got the extra spooling and stuff, but yeah, like
Yeah,
the master mode stuff.
the
Yep.
master mode stuff, but
Yep.
quantum was not changed. But
Hmm.
we have hope because the short jump quantum thing isn't in. Like there
Hmm.
is other quantum changes that are coming. So like I still have my fingers crossed that
Hmm.
those issues will be resolved, but I had to point out that like I cannot believe they were still there. And when everybody said this was my most anticipated feature for 323, I feel
Really?
like well, I mean, fucking
Oh
Jared said it
wow.
on ISC, right? The thing that everybody was so excited about is the star map and things like that. Like
Yeah, yeah.
everybody was talking about it. And I think that they were talking about, choosing a route and the route making sense, choosing a route and
Yeah.
actually being able to have a route instead of it like not doing anything, right? I think that's what people were talking about. And yes, like somebody in Twitch chat said, it has a search bar, Mike. Yes, like some added functionality to the star map is
Hmm.
great, fantastic. But I do think that what most people were looking forward to was a functional change, and the bugs being removed from issues, not just a prettier star map with a search bar. It's all great, and I'm not saying just in a bad way. I think I have been
Yeah, yeah.
very vocal about how awesome I think some of the things the star map are. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's I couldn't believe my eyes when I had those bugs. I was so disappointed, and it just happened to me. Like I didn't
Yeah, yeah.
see them earlier on during the playtests in Evo, and I had it
Mm.
in Wave 1. And I mean, do you think maybe it's because of some of these stability issues? I don't know. I hope not.
I
I
mean,
hope so, but
yeah, I hope I hope so, right? And I think
yeah.
it probably is, honestly. I think as well, like, yeah, it is still just the old quantum system. Like the bugs that you're describing are just the old quantum system. So of course those wouldn't change with the map. And then the
Why
question becomes, all right, well, why is
I
that a
gotta I
priority, or
gotta
is the
argue
priority
with you
getting the new
here.
quantum out?
Yeah, like that's fine. Like it being a new
Mhm.
quantum, being the thing that fixes it. But for me,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing that just makes me want to like bang my head against the wall is when we do these changes, why are we not prioritizing the fixes for? Like I'll never understand the quantum has changed completely, or quantum like the star map has changed completely, but we left all the shit that you hate about quantum travel in.
It was
Um,
weird when they initially announced all the features for 323. I was
mhm,
genuinely surprised that the new quantum stuff wasn't in there.
yeah.
It felt like it was appropriate. It felt like it fit. I imagine it's just not ready.
Yeah.
Would be the only reason. So,
I'm
yeah.
posing this question to you, Croncy, but everybody
Mhm.
else who comments or people on YouTube and Twitch that are watching live, feel free to chime in. Am I am I wrong for thinking that like even though you have the new star map ready to go, things are nice, things are looking good, that like I just am of the feeling that when you deliver something like the new star map, if the other features like the new quantum travel are not ready yet, I like the idea of them delivering something as like a package,
Mhm.
right? Like your new quantum experience is here. Star map, better routing, the ability to jump in any direction at any time, master, like it all comes together of like a bang. We just dropped a bomb on you, and everything is great.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like a much better experience. For example, the FPS experience. You got the backpack reloading. You have the
Sure. Yeah.
like I think the FPS experience is the best example of like how we should be doing things. Is we
Yeah.
sat back, we made monumental changes, and we delivered them all at once in a decently consumable experience. And
Mhm.
then with everything else, we get like just crumbs, dude. And it's sometimes
I
annoying, but you obviously want the game to progress. So it's like I feel like
Of
I'm an
course.
asshole for thinking this way.
No, I just think maybe you're sticking onto a relevant issue that needs to be solved,
Yeah,
but combining it with something that's kind of unrelated. At least that's how I see it. Like,
fair.
of course, yeah, you want the quantum bugs and stuff to work and to be fixed. I don't think your example there of like, you have a package delivery of like,
A
a
focused
package of
patch.
features that are focused.
Yeah. Like this is
Fixing
what we
bugs
want
for
to
that.
deliver
Yeah,
for this
yeah,
patch, you know?
for sure. Fixing bugs is a part of that.
Yeah.
We've been in wave 1 for 3 days. It's fine. Uh, First off, like
I'm
those
gonna
bugs may be
record all
fixed.
the times where people said it's Evo, it's fine, it's Wave 1, it's fine. In a couple weeks when it's not,
Yeah,
when the
yeah, yeah.
experiences are the same. I'll just remind
For
you of
sure, but
this.
even then, that specific issue, I don't think ties really to the mobiGlas and stuff like that. I think that is a separate thing, a
Yes.
bad one for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, not something that in my mind relates to those things.
They're
And
absolutely separate.
yeah,
They're absolutely
yeah, yeah.
separate. I just love the idea of just them going, guys, we put a focus on all of this stuff, and
Mhm.
here is your better experience. And your better experience is the entire experience, not just a piece. So
I guess the difference as well, just in that regard, would be like, well, we wouldn't have a patch like 323 with so many features. It would be smaller patches of more focused things, I guess, right?
not necessarily. So smaller. Okay. So it now
As in
we're
less features specifically.
maybe maybe not. So let's talk about that here. I think
Mhm.
this is really interesting
Sure.
towards the topic that we're discussing. Many people would argue 323 is a very big patch.
Mhm.
There's a lot. I would agree. There's a lot of features in there, but how impactful are those features? A lot of them are very
Some of them,
impactful.
some
Some of
of
them
them
are
massively,
incredibly
but yeah,
impactful.
yeah, yeah.
But
No.
but if they were to like I've talked about this for years, but
Mhm.
if the entire company was to get behind a certain pool of features, like what if this was the FPS patch and your FPS experiences change completely. You have the mission team focused on every FPS mission experience they can possibly have. You have the guys like Zach putting sniper glint and making everybody mad. You have uh, you have I don't know, netcode dealing with any of the issues when
Yeah,
on
yeah.
ground running around in FPS. You have the AI people super hyper focused on these one things. And then you go in and go, bang, this is your experience fixed in this patch. And then the next patch is the cargo patch. And then you have economy changes. Like, I've always kind of wanted that from Star Citizen. And I just don't know if it's a realistic thing. I don't think that's how life works. So again, we're having a
Yeah.
meaningless conversation, I think. But at the same
We're talking
time,
about we're a podcast that talks about Star Citizen, Mike. This is
exactly. So
already
it's
a
all
meaningful
meaningless.
yeah.
But that's more what I'm talking about here. Is like, do you hold back a
Sure.
completed feature, which is silly? I know this is silly
Yeah,
a
yeah.
thing to say. Do you hold back a completed feature like the star map to deliver a grand experience to your fans and be like, we fixed everything around this experience, and you don't have to worry about it as much anymore, right? Like, here is your improved quantum experience. Bang, everything is dealt with there, from the RSI Mantis all the way down to the search bar on the star map. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then here is your XYZ. I think it's an unrealistic expectation, but I think it would just be cool.
I think you would the potential problem that would cause is you are then because Star Citizen is broken. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. You can still have a lot of fun. I have so much fun with Star Citizen, but it is essentially broken because not
Yeah.
every feature is in the game, right?
Yeah.
Because you then do that, you make one feature, like using what you're describing, you make one feature really, really good, and the rest of the game is absolutely trash.
Yep.
And if you're a salvager,
Yeah.
whatever, it's just random something. If you're a salvager, and then it's like, all right, cool, your gameplay is going to be absolute garbage face
Mm-hmm.
for the next 3 years
Very good
because we're
point.
going to do one patch of just FPS. We're
Yep.
going to do one patch of just space combat. So I think you then get into an issue of like, like the game is much worse for everyone instead of a little worse for
Yeah.
everyone.
And I'll read this from the Don Phantom in Twitch chat. No,
Mhm.
because we've been begging them to give it to us when it's ready, not hold stuff
Yep.
back until it's all fixed. 100%.
True.
I think where
True.
my thought process here is a finished game, or post
Yeah,
Star
yeah.
Citizen 1.0. Post Star Citizen
Yeah, you
1.0.
want some expansions. That's what you're
Yeah,
after.
kind of, I guess, right? Is like
Yeah.
I love the idea of them focusing on one experience, but
Mhm.
I guess what we've had in the past is, and what I hated about the way they do things is, you have all these teams working individually and they don't communicate to each other. Is what
Yep.
it feels like from our perspective. They could be talking to each other every day.
It
Who
certainly
knows?
felt like that. It has certainly felt
Right?
like that in the past.
Yeah.
I would argue it's felt less like that recently,
Yes.
but for sure,
Yeah.
experience wise, yeah.
Yeah. So, weird tangent. Apologize, but it's just
I think that
something
was
that's
a
been.
fun convo, Mike. I
Me
think that was
too.
good.
Me too.
Yeah.
So sorry for that, but at the same time, it's just something that's been going through my mind, and
Mhm.
you know, would that be a cooler experience? I guess not. Why would you want to not be able to press R and route your star map?
Yeah.
You know, like, come on. So yeah. Do you want to move on to monthly report? I guess. Is anything else coming to mind?
Yeah. Like there's a lot of stuff in 323. I imagine a lot of people are going to talk to us about 323 in the
Yeah.
calls. And speaking of,
Ooh,
make sure you
Overdrive.
guys get in call. We have a lot of people in the back already, but if we ever have space, make sure you get in ASAP to talk about what you want.
Oh shit.
Let's talk about Overdrive first, quickly. So yeah, we're on the final phase of Overdrive now, as of like a couple days ago.
Terrible.
This was, of course, this is a terrible mission.
Terrible.
And once again, the reason that I'm disappointed is because there's no surprise. They did the whole moving SPK from phase 5 to phase 4.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, oh cool, there's gonna be like a cool phase 5 surprise, or there's gonna be a cool like extra phase 6. Nope. It ends exactly the same way it did in PTU, where, after all of these big combat missions, it's essentially like a glorified delivery mission. I didn't realize until these last couple of days just how bugged delivery missions were on live.
Bro, mine worked the first
I'm like,
try.
wow.
And
Oh, really?
I've been doing delivery missions for the last week cuz I have been you want to know why I'm so upset about the hangars not being in? I have
Go for
done
it.
hull C trading, I have done drug
Mhm.
trading, I have done delivery missions. That is what I've done in the last week, expecting to say goodbye to this dog shit experience, and I don't know if I'm going to get to say goodbye to it. I think it might still be there. But none of it broke for me. None of it broke for me. Everything worked,
Damn.
and Phase 5 worked for me perfectly.
Stream of luck.
Yes,
Stream of
super,
luck.
super lucky. What
Yeah.
I will say about Phase 5, out of all of the phases, Phase 5 has the most potential to be the best piece of all the phases because freight elevators, community goals, all of that becomes possible once you get freight elevators.
Yeah.
Because right now you are delivering
That's
a handheld box of ammo to help out the CDF fight Xenothreat. It makes no sense. It is the most placeholder piece of the
Yeah.
puzzle, right? And all I could think about is like an Elite Dangerous community goal of like deliver this much SCU of ammunition to the Pyro jump gate, and it is done across all of the servers in the entire game, and you watch the bar go up over time. Oh,
Yeah. I imagine it's not
oh.
too hard for them to do that because what you're describing is essentially
Once you have freight
uh
elevators, it's not.
well that's what I'm saying. You're essentially describing the first phase of the Xenothreat dynamic event.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that we use phase for so many different things, but
Yeah.
I'm specifically talking about, all of the Starfarers are dead, bring the Starfarer cargo to the
Mm-hmm.
location, right? That's a shared mission objective. And then tying it, if you tie the like completion of that into how Ninetales Lockdown used to work, where it was shared between servers of, however many tasks
Yep.
have been completed,
Yep.
essentially bring the bar up. So I don't know how that connects with the phase 5 of like the current mission of phase 5. Are you saying you want it to be a completely different mission?
No, I think okay, so I think what we have right now is placeholder. I think what we have right now is
Right.
placeholder without freight elevators. And then in order for phase 5 to complete, you are not completing it individually. We are completing it as a community,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no,
So
I think that would be cool. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't necessarily agree that it's a placeholder just because of the way they were talking about it. They
How
very
can you
much
not
have made
agree
it
that it's a
sound like
placeholder when you were carrying a fucking handheld box of ammunition to supply Xenothreat? That's what I'm saying. Is like we're gonna have freight elevators. You're gonna be using SCU boxes. These aren't gonna be handheld. Like these little delivery missions are not going to be as prevalent as they are before, and it makes no sense, Croncy, to supply a war effort with a handheld box of bullets. You are going to do it with a huge shipping container of bullets. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by placeholder.
sure.
Okay.
So like if it was the exact same mission for the most part, but like,
But you
a
are
16
using
SEU
freight
box.
but you are using freight elevators, and instead of you delivering one SCU of ammunition, you
Mhm.
are rewarded for the amount of ammunition you deliver, and everybody completes the phase when the community reaches a goal of 10,000 SCU of ammunition or something. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. That's what I'm saying. Though. I think at that stage that is a completely different mission in like almost every form. And I'm not saying I wouldn't like that mission would be sick. I think
Okay.
that'd be a great way to do phase 5,
Yeah.
especially because like it still keeps the spirit of them saying, we want phase 5 to be a little bit of a
Chill.
pace change
Yeah.
to be a bit more chill. 100% that's still the case for
Yeah.
sure, yeah. So yeah, no, I would like that to be the case.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that'd be
Cool.
sick.
Yeah. I'm just. You could call it a completely different mission, sure, but in the end, you're just delivering stuff. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess the point I'm trying to say is, out of all the missions, like with the current the features that are coming, that one
Mhm.
has the most potential to change them, maybe change the most, or like you're saying, or just
Mhm.
be fit the point of the mission chain. Fit it in
Yeah.
lore, have it make the most sense. Of all the
Mhm.
things we're doing, that one would make the most sense to me for this like pre-Xenothreat thing.
Yeah.
it's like perfect, you know. So
Yeah.
and it seems like it'd be
Yeah.
possible. So very excited.
Yeah, no, it
I
should
hope to
it
see that.
theoretically should be, like, because like, we've had missions that do that. Like, it just
Yeah,
in different
sort
ways,
of.
so you just gotta
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So, it wouldn't be surprising.
yeah.
So yeah, touching on that with Overdrive, um, the monthly report, so I finally went through the monthly report today, and most of the monthly report is, "Here's the stuff coming in 323." So it's not a lot of news, it's a lot of just like, well, of course, these are the things that a lot of the teams have been working on, especially in the, what is it called? The content or the feature, whatever the massive
The the problem is we could talk
section
about
is
Evo.
now.
We could talk about Evo. So they're showing what
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
talking about things. The way they even describe things in the monthly report was like, you don't know what these things are. Everybody
yeah,
knows what they are.
yeah,
So yeah, it was
yeah,
they have to kind of redo the way they do this now that everybody can talk about everything now.
yeah. But one of the big things, there's two sort of major ones I want to talk about. One of the big things is this here in the mission design, which is talking about feedback from the Overdrive event. So yeah, the missions are locked to a single player at the moment, which is obviously terrible. You don't want that to be the case, especially when we start opening up the servers to, larger amounts of people. Um, the team are trialing a change that will allow a singular version of the mission to be accepted by 4 players who will play together as contractors. This is an effort to free up missions and locations to create a similar effect to Overdrive Initiative, where people who usually play solo are part of a team, potentially building friendships and enhancing their MMO feeling. This is pugging. If you've never played an MMO before, this is pugging. And
It is both the
yeah,
best and worst experience possible in an MMO, all at the same time. Oh my god, I did it
yeah,
in New World so much, and there's like
yep,
you just have this guy that just does not have the gear he's supposed to have. Is so absolutely stupid, and you're just
yeah,
my best is I started playing New World with DJ. We were playing it on
mhm,
stream, and we did a pug of a dungeon, and there was this
yep,
Finnish or Swedish guy just raging at me because I was the tank. So I'm supposed to go first. I'm
yeah,
supposed to
yeah,
take all the damage, and I didn't know where I was going because I've never played the dungeon before. It was my first time, and he was losing his mind. And it's just like that is the pug experience in a
yep,
nutshell. And it was so funny, dude. It was the funniest shit. Oh my
yeah.
god.
So the big thing here is, if you don't like pugging, you don't have to. There's no
Yeah.
reason that you have to do this group with 3 other randos. You can still do
Hmm.
it with your group of people together. But the amount of people that I have seen in the past few weeks in global trying to find groups to do these events has been massive,
Especially
and
phase 5.
especially phase 5.
Conga lining is back, everybody.
SPKs. Well, yeah, sorry, yes, the phase 5, so that everyone could like exploit
Con-
the like delivery.
exactly. Conga
Um,
lining's back, baby.
Yeah, yeah. um, and so yeah, this is a fantastic this is something that I've really wanted in the game just in general as a way
Yeah.
for people to group up together.
Hmm.
And tying it to a specific mission could be interesting. I would still prefer it be tied just to a like general I am looking for a group and then people can join on it sort of thing rather than, this specific mission. But
Yeah, I
maybe it'll
definitely
work
agree with
fine. I don't
that.
know. So we'll see how CIG implement it. But this is as far as I'm aware, this is the first time CIG have mentioned anything like this, at least in recent history.
Yeah. What else stuck out to you from the roadmap? I think for me, I can't remember what it was now, but it might have been economy stuff.
Yeah, economy team just
Yeah.
just putting in work ever since last August.
That we
We
don't
haven't
get to
seen much
see
of it.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I hope that the stuff they talk about in here ends up in 323,
Same.
and I would imagine it will, but I guess we'll see. But they're working on commodity
Um,
prices. They're working on mission payout changes. We already know that they were working on guns and ship price changes. But the big one, for me at least, that I read in this, because ever since the economy team became a thing, I've always been like, but it feels like they're not looking towards the future.
yeah.
2 sections, making sure they have a scalable algorithm that will work with other systems like crafting. Right at the top there. Awesome. Sweet. You are thinking about the future. Fantastic. And a comprehensive list of all intended resource sources, transformers, and sinks were created to help ensure the economy is stable for the long haul. This is what I want the economy team to do, and they're doing it. Awesome. They're setting up the economy.
Sinks. I want the fuel to
Yeah.
cost so much. I want the repairs to be painful. Like I Okay, we talked about engineering for hours.
Mhm.
I want the the idea of a ship just blowing up so quickly to go away, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
when it does, I want it to hurt. Now I see people in chat going, "So Quantum is dead." They've been very well. They haven't been very, but they made a post about they're happy with the direction Quantum is in. Well, I don't know if I
Mhm.
believe them or not. I don't know what to believe, but I do think everything that they said made sense. Is what is the point of having Quantum if everything in the game makes no sense? So they
Yeah,
have been going line by line and making it make sense in
yeah.
terms of the starting point, the fact that there is an actual gold sink or what those kind of
Mhm.
gold sinks are looking at. I think honestly, Croncy, I think you, in my opinion, the most important part of the the economy section was here, where they are
Mhm.
looking at mission rewards and working with the mission team, I assume, on what is a difficult mission? How much time does it usually take to complete these? You know, and figuring out what the reward should be based off of that stuff. And then
Mhm.
these are all starting points for what might be a dynamic economy at some point. Now,
Yep.
do I believe that dynamic economy will be a thing or if it won't? I still don't know what to believe anymore when it comes to these things. CIG is, over the years, has changed their mind, gone in different directions plenty of times, and they tend to have gone in a different direction when they say nothing about something, and they've said very little about this. So we don't know.
Yep.
But the idea of them going line by line and fixing what has been ignored for
Yep.
since 3.0. Come on. You know, I don't know who was choosing the prices on things before, but he- we're it seems like we're in good hands now, but like Croncy
Yep.
said, we don't know until we see a lot of these changes come into 323. So,
Yep.
I-
I think a lot of the old like mission rewards and stuff are a relic of a time where we had wipes every single patch.
yes,
Every single patch. So
agreed.
they straight up have not had a look at properly for a very long time.
Mhm.
And then when they started bringing the economy team in last August and actually started looking at, you know, right now, really the only sense of progress that we actually have. Obviously, we want more things, but money is always going to be some form of progress. Sweet, cool. So let's see what those changes are. Hopefully, we get because they mentioned the commodities and stuff. Hopefully, we get that in 323, and we get to check them out. But yeah, I'm just happy they said, yeah, we've made a list of what money's gonna look like.
Yeah. I got one more thing I want to touch on before we go to callers
Yep.
is we made a bet. I don't think we're going to get it, but damn, I hope we do. When you see work has progressed on the upcoming cargo hauling missions, with players being tasked
Mhm.
with hauling tracked goods and with a consistent payout of roughly 20% of the cargo's value. A hauler's income will be more stable than that of a commodity trader.
Mhm.
The whole way they're dealing with cargo missions. Uh, do you not like? I mean, you're a fan of everything, but
I am. I'm
I
just a happy and content guy.
yeah, I kind of like when I read it first, I was like, I don't know if I like this, but then the more I talked to Elliot a little bit about it in chat,
Mhm.
and um, I like the idea of where they're going with this stuff. The only thing that is not really like explained here that could be a future thing, could be a current thing,
Mhm.
is I would love, 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 and this goes back to what the commodity team is looking at for rewards. I would
Mhm.
love a like group of trade routes that are just more dangerous. And what
Yeah.
makes a trade route more dangerous? And that payout should be higher for those more
Mhm.
dangerous routes. And is it players making that route dangerous? Damn, I hope so. But is it also NPCs that are making it dangerous? I hope so too. Right?
Yep.
So that's the one piece of explanation that makes no sense to me, is that that's not there. But I love the idea of you not owning the goods like you do when you do commodity trading.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
have a general how much you'll make on those things,
Mhm.
and now they have to make sense of why I'm trading what where. And they don't
Yeah.
really super explain that here, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what that looks like, right? And damn,
Yep.
I hope you win the bet, because I cannot wait to dive into what this looks like,
Uh,
whether it
I don't know if that's coming in 323.
Dude, it's hauling missions.
No, you said elevators.
They all come together. If the freight elevators are in, missions come with it. I don't think there's any way, Croncy, that you don't get the cargo missions without the freight elevators. I think they all come together, and I think that
I'm not gonna walk back on my bet, but I'm not feeling as great about my bet anymore.
if you want to make the bet on just freight elevators, I'm fine with that. Because again,
no, we'll keep it this way. It's funnier.
Okay, yeah, just I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a stupid bet anyway. But the for me, I think that the freight elevators are the. Did I say cargo decks or something? I don't think I did. I see Twitch chat saying that. But
anyway,
I'm just talking about. I think if you get freight elevators, they are the bottleneck from these existing. Where this, look at how detailed this is. This exists. We've had Elliot say that he is running cargo missions while he's watching my live stream. These exist. Okay. So I don't think you should be freaking out about these. These exist. It's just did instance hangers, did freight elevators make it in? That's the blocker for this, in my opinion. So yeah, but
I will say on that,
what this means.
Yeah, so I imagine just like a
also
lot of the extra fluctuate,
market
please.
Fluctuation. Market fluctuation, folks. That is something. That's something.
Just in regards to like you should get paid more if you're in more dangerous areas. I imagine those commodities are worth more in those areas. So just by the nature of that, they will be worth more. You know what I mean? If they go the way that it sounds is if they're going straight off. Exactly, yeah. Because the value will change depending where you're delivering it. Now, once again, I could be just speculating. Well, I am. I'm always just speculating, but that sounds like that's how that would work. Exactly.
That's all they give us.
So, like, maybe once we get Pyro, it'll be like that, or maybe even if they're just sending you to like a place that doesn't have an armistice zone, maybe those numbers go up. So,
did I talk too much today?
Mike, you don't talk enough. I think I should leave the pod, guys, just so just Mike talks.
Be honest.
I think chat will love that.
I'm trying to be
you didn't
better.
talk too much.
Okay.
No.
Trying to be better.
And if anyone in chat says he talks too much, you're not allowed to comment on the chat. Yeah, just ban him. I was going to say you're only allowed to comment if you become a member on our YouTube, which you can do. You can join button underneath us. We're going to be doing probably around Invictus, depending on how news is going at the time. We're going to be doing our members only podcast. So
yeah. Jump in. You ready to go to callers?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we got Lightsmith on the line. Lightsmith, can you hear us?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure can.
Ah, excellent. How you guys doing today?
Pretty bad.
Fantastic.
Everything is broken. Look, even the little thing is broken up here. Where's the thing? They're all gone.
Hey, there's good news, Mike. You remembered to cut the intro video. Yeah, you did it.
Exactly. I couldn't mess up the intro video.
Yep.
Deleted it
because it's not there.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Mike, I have some good news for you. I think I can help put you at ease a little bit more about the whole distribution centers.
Okay.
Yeah, as I was creeping around one and getting into places I probably shouldn't be, I found the evidence little terminal / little locker area that is at SBK that appears to have been just like copy and pasted it into a couple of the DCs. So I imagine that there's some steal the evidence missions that can be done there, which is pretty cool.
I found those too. In that room, you can actually steal guns from them also. There's guns on the weapon rack, and you could just take them from the
see,
guards.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, but the only reason you could take them from the guards is because the guards are standing there not knowing what's happening.
I'm pretty sure some of those areas you're not actually supposed to be allowed to go in, and they just let me walk right in, which was great. But same with the couple of last year, sometime when they added the little cargo missions in the small bunkers. I also found that teeny little cargo elevator and terminal panel was also seemingly copied and pasted into some of the DCs. So that's pretty cool. We'll have those missions seemingly.
There's Amazon delivery lockers as well.
Yep. So I think the potential is there
to do the same things we do now at a new place that looks different.
But also more
you're not selling me on anything.
Yeah, not selling you too much. But
what if you were doing those missions and there was 10 other people doing missions in the same location?
Oh boy.
How much have you gone around the distribution? So, like, I don't think you most likely won't see them. Maybe you do. I you're not going to sell me on distribution centers very much unless they start doing things that are different than what we do today. Like,
yeah, you want some stuff.
Yeah, like
the DCs.
Not specific to the DCs, but we have to take Star Citizen further than what we have. Like every mission is super placeholder, every mission is super basic, and they are providing a location to do the same things that we already have that are largely a subpar experience for an average video game player, in my experience. And I think you had the perfect opportunity to do more and provide more with these locations because you were building them from the ground up, knowing the mistakes you made in the past, and you did nothing to do that because the focus was visual and not delivering a new and enjoyable experience to players. I think that is a much better way to explain my concerns about the distribution centers rather than the way that I did at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, I'm hoping they maybe much like the star map needs the new quantum to really feel full. Maybe the DCs need, the cargo missions. We need
exactly
the more specific stuff. Yeah, that really make them unique over. Like I've said, they feel like the little bunkers and like Seraphim Station kind of had a baby and stayed on the ground. It's just like a station bunker kind of combo. We just need some little more there.
Exactly. What is freight elevators, actual engineering at ground locations, and like whatever base building kind of mechanics and crafting mechanics, when all four of those things come online, what does a distribution center provide? What does it look like? And all that stuff later on. My just slight argument is I guarantee the artists will have to go back and redo their work because they didn't make it with those things in mind, because they didn't know what those things were.
Yeah. Yeah, at the
right?
time.
And we wasted time there.
Yes. I want to shine a light on something. There's probably not too many people that are going to be very excited about this. Maybe me and like 3 other Hosas flyers, but it was one of the first things I tested out with the new master modes. It seems, at least through my testing, is that hangar and pad atmosphere no longer exists. For those who don't know what that is, if you were ever flying decoupled and going to land into your hangar.
Oh, you don't fall straight down anymore?
Yes. If you didn't enter precision mode with your landing gear, you would just fall like a rock. That doesn't seem to be there anymore, so you can safely enter your hangar with your gear up. So if you're ever like me...
Because it had to be a thing, because in case people don't know, if you put your landing gear down, you go 30 meters per second unless you boost.
Yeah. It makes me very happy because every time I enter my hangar, I am worried that Hybrid is out there watching me, and I want to land really nicely for him.
Just in case. You don't want to end up on one of those videos.
Yeah, especially not crashing, falling out of the sky because you forgot to put your gear down.
Exactly.
But also, Mike, you guys had discussed the Overdrive Mission 5. I agree, it feels too easy, feels a little too small.
Easy,
but you're onto something there, Mike. Yeah, but you're onto something there because they also did just show us the new updates to the final Xenothreat event, where we're getting the larger SCU crates of like the Zeta Promenade and all that other stuff. And I think what you're asking for is a little bit like that, because we already do that as a community at that part of the event, and we're battling the Xenothreat ships and stuff.
At a very small scale, right? I'm more looking like a global scale kind of thing, like what some other games do.
Yeah, you want the like Encourage, like big, like the get all the resources so the thing unlocks type thing.
Yes, like a lot of people were mentioning something about Helldivers in chat. Like the way
kind of like a Helldivers
work.
Yeah. Working as a community to like a bigger goal. But I think if they wanted to make it a little more interesting, if I can just play more imagination with you, the Siege of Orson, they eventually added that little 30-minute timer, give everybody some time to show up. I think it'd be cool if you had to deliver all the ammo and the meds, rather than having to get to an amount to complete. I think it'd be cool if there was like maybe like an hour timer, and depending on how much supplies you supplied as a community
how much
would
support you
determine the
get.
difficulty.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
or the reward. Yeah.
No, I don't mean the reward. I mean the like the amount of CDF AI ships that are supporting you during the fight.
Yeah, something like that. Or maybe a second Idris shows up because you didn't give enough medical supplies or something like that.
Yeah. So you're an easy target or something.
Yeah.
I will say, I do wonder, like, why did they take SPK from Phase 5 and put it in Phase 4?
Huh.
It felt like it would have been way better still in Phase 5. And
You don't
interestingly
think the
enough,
idea of it popping up like randomly and being excited wasn't awesome? That was my favorite part.
Yeah, that was cool. And now the next time they run that, that's not going to be cool. You know what I mean? Like, this is
Surprise.
they've already said this is an event that they want to run again, and they intend to.
Fair.
So it's not a one-off sort of surprise.
Yeah.
And it literally would have solved a lot of issues of people. You know, everyone's already doing the big group up to get the delivery mission to work. They would have already been in their massive group for SPK. So I don't know. It felt like I like the idea of having that buffer mission, but I still think it's. I don't know, it just would have been more enjoyable if they did SPK this week instead of last week.
Yeah, I guess they can kind of do whatever they want. And that leads me to a question I had for you guys. They mentioned in ISC, one of them, they said, we want some feedback and we want to know about the timing. And I want to know how you guys feel about it, because I feel like these 5 missions sound like one heck of a Saturday night for me and my friends, rather than like a 4 to 6 week thing. I was wondering how you guys feel about that, because they're looking for the feedback on it.
Well, I mean, I think each one like maybe 2 hours to an hour to like get everything done, group up with everybody, and complete a single phase. The I think that's a long Saturday night to get through 5 full, like if you went from I completed one of the phase, like phase 1 missions, and then moved into one of the phase 2, then I would agree with you. But the way that they did it with like, all right, I got to do 5 phase 1 missions and so on, I don't think I could do that in a night. But I think it's good to have spread them out across the weeks. I think it has been very nice to feel like I have a reason to log into Star Citizen. Whether or not I enjoyed the experience while I was there, I loved the idea of logging in each week. Every Friday, grouping up with my buddies, and that's what we did on Fridays together. We had a reason. I certainly did not enjoy Phase 5. I certainly did not enjoy Phase 3. Phase 2 was meh. Phase 1 was awesome. Phase 4 was awesome, right? But I had a reason to go in, and I think that was a good idea. I imagine they're very happy with their concurrency numbers as well, artificially making the game look more interesting to people than it actually is, in a lot of ways. But if they did that consistently, it wouldn't be artificially changing that anymore. Like somebody in chat goes daily quest ? Not like a mobile game, dude. Like you got to remember that this is right now looks like a daily quest, right? But the whole point of this is it's the first quest chain, and they should have these all over the place. And you just pop in, and it is your choice what mission you do based on the reward at the end, right? What quest line you want to go down is what I hope that this is. So I don't know.
Yeah. Also, just an update from Phil CIG. I don't know which dev that is, but
he
apparently
is a producer of the entire PU, like covering all the PU stuff. He's the one of, if not the producer. I'm not sure.
Cool. Yeah. Apparently, the SPK was supposed to be in Phase 4 originally. So, to me, I say, well, cool. I think it'd be cooler in Phase 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the surprise of it, but again, you're right. It won't be a surprise next time.
Yeah, it's kind of the downside of trying to put surprises and stuff like this, or single player games. It's you only get it once, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they were to take any feedback from it, maybe it would be the next time you do it, you never know what phase will be first. Second, third, it's random or something.
That'd be kind of cool,
right?
What if they started with SPK? And then they moved they had moved throughout, that'd be sick.
Yeah, but it story wise, it's like you can't have SPK and then search for where they were, so.
SPK, all right, now we're doing a delivery mission. All right, now we're going to, there's 80 ammo heads here. Anyway.
But maybe like just more variety, I guess would be the,
yeah.
All right. Yeah,
He
I
says
think
just
maybe
gameplay,
a
not the
weekend would
entire
be best for
PU.
me.
Gotcha. Okay, for what he
Yeah.
does at the company.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry for interrupting. Light, go ahead.
Oh, no problem, no problem. I also just wanted to mention that it looks like last night they did make a post on Spectrum saying that they're extending the time length of Mission
Yes.
5. So if it is bugged for you, everybody's gonna get their chance. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't say how long.
Interestingly, they
Did
said
they?
specifically till they said into 323.
Okay.
So the thing that is interesting about that is they said, like, once again, this is supposed to be like a pre-patch event, and then like the idea is the patch comes out, Xenothreat comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means Xenothreat is not coming out straight away, presumably, because of that.
Yeah, that's what it makes it sound like.
With the patch. So is that them more confident that they can get this out before Invictus, or is that them saying it's not happening till after Invictus now?
Yeah.
I'm
Also,
curious.
Light,
It feels like there's something there.
there's a million callers, so
Yes.
we'll let you go.
Yeah, sorry
okay,
for
buddy?
taking up your time.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll hopefully talk to you next week, and we'll do this properly.
Yeah, for sure,
it's
for
been
sure.
Thanks much, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers,
All right,
mate.
talk to you. All right, we're gonna bring in Mr. Expendable. We're gonna get as many people in here and chat with everybody, because I saw people popping out as we were taking too long with a single caller. So, Expendable, we'll give you Light got a lot of time, but we talked over him, so we're gonna give you guys a little bit of time and maybe talk over you less. Will be the goal here.
Well, I only got 2 big topics.
Perfect.
Technically 3, but the third one is kind of stupid, so who cares? The first one is first things first. Congrats to Croncy for Evo. Good job and all that. First big topic is engineering, and these are going to be sort of questions. I'm just going to let you guys talk, which whoever
that's
is
a mistake.
I don't know. Well, hopefully it'll be quick because they're fairly poignant. Like, it's just maybe some of them are even yes or no's. So first things first, the A2 with the engineering. How many people did it take on the engineering side? So obviously you have gunners, you have pilots and all that stuff. How many people were you comfortable with, like, okay, we have all our bases covered with engineers? Like, how many, what was that sort of number?
I'll let you take it, Croncy, because your experience might have been more proper than mine.
Yeah, I mean, well, we were talking about it a little bit earlier. If the A2 feels a little weird, where it kind of is between 1 and 2. It's like I need 1.5 engineers to feel comfortable. And so it'll sort of depend on really how much you're getting battered in certain combat situations. I would imagine though, because of that, I would imagine any ship lower than smaller than an A2, you'll probably never need more than 1.
Okay, and then bigger, like a hammerhead might need like 3 permanent ones, probably.
Hammerhead probably. I imagine the hammerhead would be comparable to the A2.
I think it depends on. It all depends on so much, and again, so much more balancing, right? So the first thing I got to say is, what are we defining as engineers? Because one person's on the panel doing callouts, and another person's kind of running around fixing things. That means like minimum 2 to me. So what did you mean by engineers, Croncy? Just the guy running around?
Yeah, pretty much. Like. And once again, it sort of depends, because you may have some downtime where you can just check the engineering yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to depend entirely on what combat situation you're in.
In combat, minimum 1 on the panel, 1 running around, and it all depends on what that redundancy. Like, here's the one thing that Croncy also pointed out, was that damage to components and repairing them was not really a thing yet, and oh my God, I'm being such a brain dead person today. The fuses were, I don't know if they were delivering the experience that they're going for. Like, were they breaking as often as they wanted to? Were they not breaking enough? Like, I don't know what they're going for there. So we're gonna see. So it's hard to know without what their goals are. But I know that their goals are to not have the like panic experience all the time, right?
Yeah.
So
okay, and then so next question. There was a balance between like replacing fuses and then going in and like fixing components. Is that how I understand it? Did you guys feel like that balance was good?
Well, yeah, like we said, at the moment the fixing of components isn't working. So
yeah,
okay. So it's
we'll
just
see. But I mean, I will say, when there was like a moment of major panic, I was like, I don't think I would be able to, at least as one person, repair everything, and put all the fuses where I need to put them.
Yeah.
And make sure that I'm, removing power from where I need to in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
So, in those sort of instances, in a large ship like the A2, when you get into panic situations, you'll have multiple people running around.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. And then, so another quick question. Obviously, repair tools aren't working because the repairing isn't working. But do you guys feel like, as an engineer, you'll pretty much just need a bunch of fuses in your backpack and a repair tool, or do you guys feel like that might become more advanced as we move forward?
I mean, fire.
I know this is
wasn't in.
speculation, but yeah, fire wasn't
Yeah,
in.
sure, yeah. So like fire extinguishers would become a part of it. I do think technically what you're saying is like correct. Like I do think that's all you'll need, but I would like to see them potentially in the far future maybe expand on fuses a little bit by maybe making different types of fuses, different like sort of modular
Yeah.
fuses
It's also
that maybe
replaceable
reduce
components.
power. Yeah, exactly. Replacing components will be a relevant thing, but yeah, I'd love to see like here is a fuse. It reduces your power by 10% of like any power that goes through it, but it's got 20% more health, and so it lasts a little
Interesting,
longer,
yeah.
whatever it might be. That sort of stuff would be really
Mhm.
cool. Just as always, providing more options to the players to change how they may act
Okay.
in certain
Right.
situations.
I
I
got
don't
one
know if
or
they have plans for that, but I think it'd be cool.
Okay, okay. I like the sound of that. It does sound like we're in an early phase. I was hoping that you guys weren't going to say something like, "Actually, it looks like we're pretty much at where we're going to get before we get to the PU," which would be horrible to hear. But I
I
don't think
mean,
that's
that might be the
true.
case.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
it depends on the other vehicles. In the monthly report today, they mentioned that they've got, I don't know if it was they had completed or they're almost completed 10 vehicles with
Yeah,
resource networking.
yeah,
It just depends if they're going to make it any
yeah.
thicker
I
before
don't
Just
think
then.
we see
100.
that in the. I don't know if we see that in 323 experimental. I think they're
No,
going
no,
to
of
stick
course
to this
not. But I'm
Gladius
saying,
and A2 thing.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm saying that the implementation we are seeing on the A2 right now is
Mhm.
presumably the implementation that's going on to those vehicles right now. And so when this goes to live, I think, yeah, we'll just see this implementation. I don't think we'll see anything necessarily more complex.
Okay.
Not more complex, but hopefully the things that aren't working like the repair stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So I got two more quick questions for this, and then I'll move on to my
Mhm.
big topic. Hopefully, if we have time. How easy is it to knock off certain parts of the ship? Salty, you mentioned that you were only able to take down the engines.
You were only able
Was
to
that
see the
easy
target
or
of the engines on the UI when you're in precision mode. I
okay?
knew exactly where to shoot, and again, the issue is imbalance and incomplete feature. The ship blew up
Mm-hmm.
before we were breaking the components, so it
Oh,
was a
that's
health
that's nasty.
problem, right?
So, how easy is it to knock off certain parts of the ship? It isn't because it's not possible. Okay,
For
and
the
then the last
moment.
question.
Well,
But
unless
Torsten,
you're
the
talking about
dev who
components as
makes
well.
it, was like,
Yeah,
I know the issue. A2 doesn't have enough health. We're gonna
yeah,
fix it. He posted on Spectrum like, this is not a the sky is falling moment whatsoever.
okay,
You are in very good hands with him and his team. They will get it in a place that is somewhat enjoyable at a minimum.
okay. All right, all right. That's a lot of good here. It's a lot of good. Hopefully we'll get more depth before it comes to PU.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on to my next big question. I'm just gonna skip through
Mhm.
the rest of them because I'm worried about time. I know there's a bunch of guys behind me. Here's my big question for 323. Does 323 actually change your day-to-day gameplay? And the short answer that I have been seeing is probably not.
Without the
Doesn't
freight
seem
elevators, no.
Yeah, because it's like freight elevators is like the big thing, right? And you would think distro centers, but it just seems like in this current iteration, distro centers are just they're just connecting current missions to it, which is okay, okay, instead of flying to like a farm, I'm flying to a distro center. That's cool, but does it really change? I mean, a different coat of, it's the same vehicle with a different coat of paint. It's a much nicer coat
So
of
I do think it'll change very heavily how I play day to day for a couple of
Okay.
reasons. Firstly, there's a lot of people that I keep hearing saying that 323 is a quality of life patch, and yeah,
Mhm.
my quality of life is going to be way higher, so that's not incorrect. But I
It's
think
not
because the
just a
core
quality of
gameplay
life patch.
experience, of course
Mhm.
not, but because
Yeah.
the core gameplay experience is going to become first off a lot more nicer to look at just in general, but a lot of things like the map hopefully working once again. Everything is these caveats of maybe currently bugged and you know what, but those working, missions at these location hubs, I think is going to change a lot of stuff because I'm going to want to go to those a lot more. Obviously, like Mike said, yeah, like freight elevators are an actual like super big like new feature.
Monumental.
So that's a big thing. But then like master modes completely changes how people are going to fly. The FPS changes completely change how people are going to be doing shooting and stuff like that. So even though I am going to go do eliminate all mission may be the same, the actual process of that and how I do that encounter is going to be completely different.
Yeah,
so
very good point. Master
that's
modes
kind of how
changes
I
like
see it.
the way pirates are going to interact with players.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it does change a lot, but I think the question is sort of like, are you going to participate in different experience? Like that's how I took it. Like
other than hunting
creatures, are there any new experiences? Is there any new depth? You know, like it's
Master modes is probably the closest thing to saying yes to that answer.
Other than the freight elevators.
And the freight elevators. It's like master mode. Yeah, it's like it's frustrating because I want to get back into the game. I've touched it every once in a while, but I'll hop in, I'll look around, see it's the same thing, play for like 2 or 3 hours, and then bounce for another couple.
I tell
weeks.
people like you, 323 is not for you yet.
Yeah,
especially
that's what
we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and it's fine. Like it's great, and it's what's a really positive thing is Overdrive. I feel like is a step in the right direction.
Yes,
it's not for me. But it's like, okay, if we can get more of this, more normal, I'll be more interested in playing. And it's and it's like I want to play the game, but it's come on, give me something new, give me something special, give me something sweet.
Does Arena Commander excite you at all? Like
that's what I have been playing.
Okay,
is Arena Commander. What I'll do is I'll hop into the PU, play 3 or 4 hours, be like, okay, it's the same thing, and then I'll hop over to Arena Commander. And I'm not a big FPS guy. Like I like ships. I like being in a group. I like working as a group. So and that's why I had so many questions about engineering because that's probably what I'll be doing. But you know, going into the PU and playing, you know, in the same stuff that we've done all this entire time is like that's what I want to be in the PU instead of Arena Commander, but that's not what we're getting.
Which I would not want them to have, just for reference, would not want them to put this engineering in 323.
Oh, I wouldn't either.
But yeah.
I want to burn my ship down to a Hulk, and I want to do that in the PU.
You do not want Bullet Pen in the game right now.
Yeah. I don't want Bullet Pen. I don't want all this other stuff. Like you guys need to iron it out. We got time, you know. Not to mention, I hesitate to say this because this opens up the conversation a little bit, but with features that might need some time in the oven, it might be better to wait until server meshing and some other stuff becomes more solidified so that you know what you're working with, so when you shove it in, it doesn't blow up in your face.
It's the point of experimental mode.
Sure.
It's been
exactly
like,
100%.
Gun Rush, all these things have improved. Like, why do we have a good FPS experience right now? It's because of everything they did in Arena Commander leading up to this.
Yeah.
Why is Master Mode's in a way better place than it was when it first started? And that is arguable, you know, I guess, because I'm not one of these people that knows the system in and out. It's because there was plenty of time in the oven in Arena Commander. There still needs a hell of a lot more, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. That pretty much covers it. I want to ask, do I have enough time for another topic, or is that going to be it for me?
What do you think, Croncy?
It's up to you, Mike. How long do you want to go today?
I can go a little bit longer, so yeah,
for sure.
Go quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Here's the last question. It's pretty short. It might just be a couple of comments. I feel like 323, I've gotten a lot of burnout from, obviously, because not only is it not as big for me, but I feel like it just is like, okay, I know this. Come on. I'm curious what you guys are thoughts on this. I think that it's honestly a good thing because the reason I'm burned out is because of the opening of information coming out of Evo, right? Originally, you would get drip fed information from, you know, official and unofficial sources when Evo was going on. Obviously ISC, you know, SCL, all that sort of stuff. And then it would come out to Wave 1. So we're talking about what we would see 2 or 3 weeks ago happening now with Wave 1 being like, okay, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's this. What are you guys' thoughts on that about people maybe getting burned out earlier before the patch comes live or before things happen to a point in that regard? I'm curious what you guys'
You
thoughts
mind if
on
I take
that.
this first, Croncy, just because I was in Evo from day one on this specific patch?
Yeah.
The difference between this patch and every other one is this patch has way too many features in it for them to handle at the moment. Maybe they bit off more than they could chew. They thought they could do things that they couldn't. I'm purely speculating on that. I don't know if it's true or not, but this patch was different than your average patch because there is so much shit. Okay? And you have the replication layer thing on top of that was likely causing lots of instability, tons of instability with this. So the burnout is coming from the fact that there's some new features in there. None of them worked. Yes, I agree. The fact that we were allowed to talk about these things is ridiculous. And I'm the person who is yelling from the rooftops saying that we should be able to talk about them, but in a different way. I'll try to make my point clear on what I expected coming out of Evo opening up. All I wanted them to ever do was share the patch notes with you. That's it. So you read
and
how
they
things...
did that plus extra.
Yeah, they did that plus allowing you to just share your exact experience and explain exactly what you experienced. And I think that does ruin things for people more than they should. And it sucks. Okay? And as somebody who makes YouTube videos, unfortunately, the expectation from your audience is that you share with them that information. Like if your entire YouTube channel is built around information around the game, you would be a jerk to not share that information with your audience. And I don't want to, but I feel like I have to. And you're 100% right with that. What happened in this patch, though, is that they delivered a 323 completely incomplete, completely broken, completely like unfunctional for 2 weeks in Evo, where the entire Evo patch, Evo cycle burned out everybody, and then delivered an even worse experience to Wave 1, and the burnout continues. And again, the major feature that I think a lot of people were excited about is still not even there yet. And it is impossible to test the FPS weapons on live for the most part. Right? Because you don't have all of them at your disposal. So it took forever to find them in...
Stability just makes it impossible as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's so much more that's going on here than what would happen in a normal patch. But I am in agreement with the ability to be so open on these things. You have Jared showing them early on ISC. Then you have people who are able to communicate them. So I'm able to, as a creator, take the video of what he showed on ISC and say, this is what I experienced in Evo, or I experienced it slightly different than that. So you are able to create the vision in your head, and when you come to it, there it is right in front of you, exactly what we said, and it does ruin that, and that sucks. There are zero surprises. You have people data mining everything and telling you all about that. I largely think that stuff's okay. But yeah, so I don't know, Croncy, if you have anything else to add, but
yeah,
it's not the best situation. I'd like to see patches stabilized before they're in our hands. For the most part, a patch like this, that's kind of hard to do.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a little bit of a different thing with it. Was just like, so obviously, Mike, you've been part of Evocati for a very long time, so you've sort of always had the opportunity to, check out all these features essentially in private, but a lot before everyone else. And so, like, even though I was in Evocati like a day before Wave 1 came out, when I saw everything from everyone talking about the patch itself, it weirdly made it a little less special.
100%.
So, like, I'm not burnt out yet, but I feel like there's a very realistic chance that I may end up being a little bit burnt out because normally all of my experiences with a patch, I have them with everyone else at the same time. And there's definitely something about that where everyone gets hyped up together at once.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that's the way that things should be. Doesn't mean that that's a good thing, but it's going to be a thing I'm going to be looking for to see, like, yeah, am I bored of the patch already in a month's time? Definitely not right now, but in a month's time, am I going to be bored? Maybe. So,
isn't
I don't know.
The experience of a new patch exploring all the new features? And
when
they've already been explored, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. It feels less special. So, once again, it's a thing that I think was good for them to do, but yeah, I may feel different about that pretty soon. I feel like I might.
But are we in the minority? Are the people following the project?
We're content creators, bro. We got it completely wrong. That's all I know.
No, but I'm even talking about Mr. Expendable. Like the people that are following it this closely. Are we the ones in the minority? And most people are having a great experience. You know, when the patch goes live.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
You know,
I would say we are because I mean I got you, I got Croncy, I started watching you, I got Board Gamer, and it's like I'm watching the same thing and they're saying the same thing over and over again, and it's like, okay, maybe I should back off a little bit because like I think I'm actually hurting myself. That's probably why I'm so burned out.
Yep.
I'd love to see somebody who only follows it casually. I remember when I was in I started in 2017, flew around a little bit. I thought it was cool. I played for about 40 hours and then I gave it a break. And then I came back for like 314 or something, so sometime in 2022, and I have not left the project since. Like I've not kept my nose to the grinder since for this project. And it's like, dude, you need to take a break. Like give it a year, give it at least to like CitizenCon or something, because I'm probably gonna go, and give the game a break. So that's it for me. If you guys don't have anything else to say, those are my 3 big topics. So,
yeah.
All right.
Wow, good call. Cheers. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Expendable.
Thank you. I'll give you my secret why it was such a good call. I wrote everything down like I did last time.
Lovely.
So write everything down. Get it some topics. It works. It makes you feel a lot more comfortable. Doing this is a little bit scary. I was shaking a little bit earlier, but when you write it down, you feel more comfortable. You can hit your targets, and yeah. So
nobody's watching. They fell asleep during one of my rants a while ago. You're fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you guys later.
Later. Expendable. Be good, man. Great call.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right. The next caller is a great name, the Banu Merchant.
So you're why we don't have the ship.
Yeah, this must be his fault.
Greetings, Giovanni.
How you doing?
What's up?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Yeah, not so bad.
Awesome. So I guess I'll kind of try to get right into it. First, a little bit of background on me. Well, I guess I'll kind of tell you all what I want to talk about. Master modes, the big thing in 323.
Yep.
I have background in competitive PvP for air combat games, ranging from like really arcadey games like Red Ace Squadron, all the way up to DCS. I've got thousands of hours in those kinds of games. I'm also a pilot in the real world, so I really understand all the physics going on in air combat and what makes the geometry work, that kind of stuff. So I've been working on a project kind of since Master Modes first got into the Arena Commander modes as experimental.
Yep.
And I've just kind of been doing the math on everything, working out like why certain things aren't fixing the issues that they wanted them to fix, and kind of how we could get them fixed, which I'm not going to go into necessarily my potential fixes in this conversation. I just kind of want to put things out there for people that are testing master modes to kind of keep an eye on and really hopefully get some focused feedback on, because it's things that I think are points that will make or break the game going forward with the flight model. So this might get a little bit mathy. My apologies. I'm kind of a geek on this.
Oh no.
Algebra time.
If I end your call early, please do not get mad. This is a show that is supposed to be enjoyable for people to watch, so do your best, please.
I like maths, Mike.
Essentially, to have good combat, you need 3 things. You need a true neutral position, you need an offensive position, and you need a defensive position.
Okay.
Without those 3 factors, combat is always going to be strange. And for good combat, most of your time should be spent in the neutral position. So what's a neutral position? The neutral position is essentially where neither player or pilot, whatever you want to call it, has an ability to shoot at the other. you want that to be your most time spent in a fight, is wrestling to get that advantage. And when somebody does get that advantage, the other person has to clearly be in a defensive position where they have defensive options to avoid being hit. Those are the three main factors that you need. So what Master Modes did is they said, hey, we're having issues with people backstrafing, and we're having issues, with speeds being out of control, people can't shoot each other, that kind of thing. And so they slowed everything down, and obviously there have been some changes since we've gotten to 323, but generally rotation rates are still high enough that we can maintain nose on, and there is no neutral position.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, and I'm glad you're keeping it simple enough for me to understand. And when you don't, I will stop you, okay? Because if I don't understand,
there's been no math yet. There's been no math yet, but here is the formula using math for good combat. No, go ahead.
Yeah. You're doing good so far. Yeah. I'm following.
So a lot of the hyper competitive PvP people here, which I'm not one of those yet. I've definitely been working to get there, but they have this idea of positional combat where everything is about this super tight knife fight, and a big thing of that has been the mystical 45 and finding the pancake and that thing.
Yep.
Which, don't get me wrong, that's definitely cool Twitch-based gameplay, but it's a very, very, very specialized skill, and it still doesn't have a neutral position. So it really only works when people agree to fight in that style.
Do you mind if I stop you for a second? DCS is an incredibly niche game, and that is a game that has lots of this neutral positional combat stuff, right? Which, because it's more geared towards real life, and or is completely geared towards real life. Does something like that solve the problem that Master Modes is actually made to solve, and that is lower the skill ceiling and make the game more enjoyable for more players?
So I would not ever want Star Citizen to be at the level of physics simulation that DCS is at. I think that's it's a very niche thing. There's a reason everybody isn't playing DCS. But the thing about DCS is that there's really three experiences that humans have that we can all relate to. That's walking or running and jumping, regular locomotion with our bodies, driving, and to an extent we all understand flying.
Yep.
So if you keep experiences that we're familiar with, flying, driving, and walking, then it's something that people can understand and can approach. Whereas when you have the 6 degrees of freedom thing where you can move in any direction, nobody understands the geometry of that, except for people who, have put thousands of hours into trying to understand it. And those people, they don't want to share it with just anybody for the most part, because that's something that they took thousands of hours to learn. Whereas, we all know that a plane takes time to turn, it has a radius in its turn, that's stuff that we can inherently pick up within, a few, let's say 10 to 20 hours. People will generally understand it. Everybody's played Ace Combat, everybody's played, or seen some version of Flight Simulator in the arcade mode, and generally understands it. So that's kind of like, people take me wrong when I start talking about the math of things, and they think I want DCS in Star Citizen. I never want DCS in Star Citizen.
I wanted to establish that at a minimum, because it sounded like that was the direction that it was going, and I was like, it creates the exact opposite solution that Master Mode's trying to solve.
Yeah, so it's essentially the main issue that I've run into is what I'll call critical radius. And that is the range at which a ship at maximum SCM speed can outpace the ability of a stationary ship to turn.
Okay, I'm following still.
Right. So with the P-52, which was the one I did the most testing with in Arena Commander, it has an SCM speed of, let me look at my notes here real quick, 279 meters per second in any direction. And it pitches and yaws at 60 degrees per second.
Okay.
So in order for that ship,
oh, we're getting into the math.
In order for anything to essentially avoid being led to be shot at by the P-52 Merlin in a straight line at 2,000 meters distance, it would have to move at approximately 1,732 meters per second. Which is
so you're saying that in order to be defensive, they would have to go crazy fast.
Yes, and in just a straight line, like just going past at a range of 2,000 meters, which guns can shoot out to 4,000 meters now.
Yeah.
So that's just a straight line, right? And the critical range there is you have to get within 210 meters to be able to go past the Merlin faster than he can turn to shoot at you and keep shooting at you as you go by.
But does it look like Star Wars?
It does not look like Star Wars.
Well,
thanks for the call, Benny Merchant. No.
Because I think that was well, honestly, maybe because I think that was the entire point of all the changes. Is the goal of the team was to make Squadron look like Star Wars.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
The other side of it is that was just a straight line. When we talk about going in a circle. So Yogi was, I believe, on your podcast talking with Avenger 1. And
that's Space Tomato, but yeah.
Oh, Space Tomato. Okay.
We would never get a dev here. Because I'm involved.
Until Mike can't make 1 week, no devs.
Yep, exactly.
But anyway, he said that, all of the abilities of the ships are being based on the thruster positioning and the thruster outputs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand where he's coming from with that, because when we get into the orbital mathematics of going around something in a circle, in order to maintain ranges that we can maintain while we orbit something, the centrifugal force requires about 23 Gs to maintain that distance. And our ship thrusters can only make us accelerate in a straight line. I believe the highest right now is like 14 Gs. But somehow we can still maintain those orbits. So to me, the math isn't mathing, and that's an issue. Not to mention just the fact that, we have these huge thrusters on the back that'll get us, 12 Gs of forward thrust. But then we have these tiny little maneuvering thrusters on the side that'll give us 10 Gs of side thrust or up thrust or down thrust. And, when you start looking at the weights of the ships, the Gladius weighs close to 50,000 kilograms. Which means for 10 Gs, we have to make like 500,000 kilograms of thrust, right?
You lost me about 10 minutes ago, so I don't know.
I guess
here's what this is doing. This is making me want to go back to the days where we pick one topic and make everybody stick to it.
I'll just say one thing,
which is
actually
really good. A really good conversation.
Yeah, and don't worry, I'm working on making my own video about this. You all can pick apart the comments.
Like, here's what I want to do with everything that you're doing right now. Like, you're in a Discord, like, get together with people who are all sharing and are interested in this topic, and get together and work together and feedback threads and this and that thing. What I will say, and I don't know how you feel about this, Croncy, is this the platform for this conversation?
Not today.
Not today, right?
Not today.
So it's like I so badly don't want to stop him. I so badly I don't know. All I'm saying is I don't know what to do because we're still figuring out what the show is.
No, I completely understand. Yeah. I completely understand it. Like, I'm fine to stop here. I just wanted to get this out on a platform that a lot of people will see. That way people will start thinking about these things.
Exactly. And that's kind of the point of the show too. But maybe we need, I don't know, me and Croncy need to talk a little bit about, like, how do we approach things like this? Do we go back to the situation of, like, everyone's got to tell us what they want to talk about when they come in, and we could choose to go, you know what, Bandit Merchant, not today, but that's a really good topic for another day when we, or something like that. But I'll go ahead.
I'll say do make the video. Let us know when you make the video, because you truly sound like you know what you're talking about. When you make it, I do want you to do one thing though. When you present the solutions, I want you to and it can be multiple solutions that you may have in mind. I want you to keep in mind with those solutions that it needs to be fun. It needs to be within the context of also being able to work within an MMO with multiple people, and
an idiot
within
like me.
tons of multi-crew ships. And it needs to be easy enough for people to understand. Because that's the task that CIG have, and it's gonna be almost impossible for them to do all of them. But I want to hear what you think the solutions to those will be, because I think you clearly know what you're talking about. So I'd love to hear.
And I forgot to mention it in my intro, but I was also part of the development team for World of Tanks, World of Warships, World of Warplanes, and
very cool.
an aviation consultant for War Thunder. So I have a lot of experience with flight models.
A lot of experience committing war crimes.
Yes.
Whoa.
It's just like, for me, the reason why I stopped is I wish I can engage with you more. I don't know how.
Yeah, no, it's completely okay.
You're talking to two people who like mining about complex flight model issues.
Yep.
Right?
No, I completely understand, and don't worry, I'm not bothered at all. I kind of expected this to happen. Like I said, I wanted to get people thinking about these issues.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
No, we appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Right. So sorry. Yeah. And please link us the video, and we will put it out to as many people as we can. Again, the reason for the podcast is to give you guys our platform. We just have to figure out the best way to do it.
Yeah. Thank you. It'll probably be a while before the video is done.
Take your time.
Very, very complicated, and I want to make sure that I have enough diagrams and stuff for people to follow along with what I'm saying.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And we appreciate you for it, and you have the best name in the Star Citizen community. Later, man.
All right, later.
Great call. Yeah, dude, I struggle with that so much, because that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, no, that was
How could you say anything other than that it was awesome? But it was like, what conversation do I have? I can't.
Yeah, it's like, I don't truly understand what this means, but it sounds like you're saying some very cool things.
Yep. So, like, yeah, no offense, but I don't want to sit here and just go and shake my head. And you know, so we got to figure out a way. But all right, let's bring in Heyyitsnick. Hello, Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. All right.
Do you have? Please don't tell me you have math to talk about.
+1 equals window.
Makes sense.
Get him out.
What do you want to talk about today?
I mean, I'm very disappointed with 323.
Okay.
Like, I'm at a point now with how long I've been backing in with everything that it's just like, I looked at the state with 323 released. I look at the direction a lot of game systems are going in, and the decisions that groups of people at CIG are making and agreeing on that are quote unquote good decisions. I'm just at a point now where I'm just kind of disappointed in the decisions they're making, and I'm just kind of feeling like, CIG, I thought you could do better, and I'm just disappointed that they couldn't.
Can you give us a specific example that
Please.
you might be referencing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I saw it on Twitter, but for everyone else.
I don't look at Twitter, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
With my main focus is I just feel that the whole direction has been going toward arcade with terms of FPS and ship combat, and that's not really the direction that we were kind of talked about throughout the course of development. I mean, I keep thinking back to when Jared would say we make it as real as possible, and then we bring it back to fun. And in 323, I'm sitting here being like, well, where's the realism now? And where's the fun? I'm not seeing any fun anywhere with these game systems. And yeah, there's a lot of stability issues with 323, frame rate and everything. And it's just like, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it come to fruition of make it real and fun. And I'm not seeing that balance anymore. I'm just seeing it go in a full arcade direction. And it's got me really questioning on, is Star Citizen is a CIG's idea of what Star Citizen is going to be finished, like even a game I'm going to want to play when it's out. And it's the first time 323 has made me think about maybe this isn't going to be a game I'm going to like.
You know what's crazy? I fucking love to hear that. I'm very disappointed and sad that you're not enjoying it, but I am glad they are making a decision and deciding what the game is going to be, and whatever it is, it's going to be what it is. Because man, was it super messed up for 12 years to make the game look like something for everybody.
Yeah.
And
I do think it's good that it's a
decision
that they're making, but it's just like at the same time, it's just like I'm not the only backer who's probably feeling this way, and it's gonna go both ways, where people are going to be like, I'm loving the decisions they're making, and then there's people like me who are like, based on what was said when I backed way long time ago, and all the discussions we've had for so many years with the devs, with what other devs has been saying, it's just like,
what's arcadey to you?
What's arcadey to me? Oh, okay. I would
not in general. What in Star Citizen right now is arcadey to you?
Yeah, a lot of the changes with the FPS, the dynamic crosshair is super arcadey, and to me it just feels distraction. Hit markers I feel are just there because I feel like a lot of the FPS systems are there because there's no diegetic in world reactions to what's happening, that it kind of needs those arcade mechanics like hit markers, dynamic crosshairs and everything, because you don't see bullet hit walls and know where your bullet landed, and it's kind of janky with that, where it just kind of feels if it didn't have that, you'd just be seeing nothing. You wouldn't see enemy hit reactions, you wouldn't see blood squirt or anything, and it's just to see the hits or anything. They got to add that because it's not there in the game world to show that you got hit.
Let me interrupt you here, because somebody's saying something in chat I disagree with entirely. Is dynamic crosshair is a choice and the same as a laser. So I'll jump in for a second, and then you get in on this, Nick. Is dynamic crosshair is not a choice if you are going to be in FPS combat, because it is such an advantage over not having it. So they make something that is so powerful that the choice doesn't exist any longer.
It turned into a meta.
Yes,
it turns it into a meta and they even said that inside the ISC, and that's one thing that really turned me away from it, is because even the developers like, well, now I can't imagine using it without it.
Yes,
and it's just like,
yes, but
well,
to be fair, that's not why he said it. I don't think the implication was, I don't imagine me not using it because I'm more powerful.
That's how
now.
I feel. That's how I
feel. I think he said it because he enjoys the feature more.
Yes, but at the same time, I will say, I don't enjoy the feature, and I cannot see a way of me playing without it if my focus on that day is FPS. Because if they if they deliver, and I know the goal here is to deliver multiple types of helmets, and they wanted to make something that was combat worthy.
They are also going arcadey with the kind of attachments where they're adding like the arcadey kind of like,
that's if you not put arcadey, that's video games. I'm sorry.
If you put on the laser scope, if you put on the laser sight now, you'll get a 12% reduction in things instead of using it like that is
100% something
like a thing.
Star Citizen needs.
And it's just like, I
love that.
I kind of disagree. I think it would have been nice if the laser sight would have just been like, just a non-dynamic crosshair that will give your position away. But that's just how I view it.
But you want it to work. It's kind of like the lasers in Tarkov.
I'm sorry for clapping over you. That was incredibly rude. Okay. But I still think, like, God, that is so needed in this game. The items mattering. And yeah, Zach just said they do that in Tarkov, which is arguably one of like the most realistic FPS games, right?
Arguably, I don't know. Tarkov isn't the game that interested me.
Okay.
What do you
Star
want?
Citizen has to become a game at some point.
Yeah,
it does.
Exactly.
It does, and I agree. It's just that the game that they're making, the direction they're taking it in, is just turning me off. It's not
totally.
It's just not the direction that I want to see, and I disagree with the design decisions being made there, and that's kind of all what it is. It doesn't matter what Zach says on this is why we're doing or this is why we're doing it. I still disagree with the decision they made on how they are addressing it. And like, it's just like, you're not like, it doesn't matter what any dev says to me at that point. I just don't like it.
And
that's
like
fine,
you said,
but
this just might not be the game for you from that perspective. And that sucks. But the reason that you were drawn to the game was because you were drawn to the game by
discussions on what the game was going to be. And now that
which has been discussed in 48 different directions during the entire game's development. So at some point, every single person on planet Earth was going to be interested in this game. So unfortunately, you're one of the people who are getting hurt by it, and more people are going to get hurt as time goes on. So like, your points are 100% valid. Again, apologizing for clapping because that was incredibly fucking rude. That was awful by me. And we're friends and all that stuff. So I'm sure you're not taking it in the wrong way.
No. I didn't even notice it. Like don't feel bad. I didn't even notice the clapping. Like, it's all good.
Didn't come through the mic. So
yeah, it's whatever. The idea of them having to make a decision, and that decision is go and in every single it happened with mining. It's going to happen with cargo. It's happening with FPS. They got to make decisions. And damn, dude, people are and Nick might be one of them. People are going to be flocking away from this game to some extent, and others are going to be flocking towards it.
Yeah, it's getting to the point, and I'll probably make this like around my final statement, where I'm realizing I want a good game, and that might not be a Chris Roberts game.
I think good games are subjective, or objective, or whatever.
Yeah, well, that's sort of this whole call, right? It is very like, like you do not feel like this is fun. You do not feel like this is the game that CIG are making for you. That sort of stuff. You even like you started with the, holy crap, I've got his name, Jared.
Yeah.
Jared saying, "Bring it to reality, then take it back to fun." For a lot of people, that's exactly what's happened. It is. They've taken to reality, brought it back to fun.
Yeah.
Fun is different for everyone.
Yeah,
and exactly what Mike was saying. People are going to be disappointed. My hope is that it's not going to disappoint people enough that they're going to not enjoy the game. And I personally think a lot of the changes they've made recently won't end up doing that. I think it's a lot of doom and gloom from a lot of the community, not necessarily just about FPS, but a lot of features that's happened in the last couple of years.
Mode, so on.
Master mode. You just said mining, Mike. I heard so much doom and gloom from people when the mining changes happened, and a lot of those people are still enjoying the game today. It's relevant to hear those concerns, and we don't want people to leave the game because we need as many people to fill up our javelins.
Yeah.
Let me know
referrals to matter.
So,
we need those referrals.
I have one question though, Nick. Hit markers were always there, and a lot of people are pointing out the hit markers now. It is.
I don't mind the hit markers.
I do. I actually fucking hate hit markers because like that's the one thing from Tarkov that I absolutely loved is like that was that was an immersive and beautiful experience with that game.
I have no issues with the hit markers because CIG doesn't do hit marks in world that is immersive.
Yet.
Yeah, but that's kind of why they need a hit marker. And that's why I'm kind of okay with it. Okay. They could if it gets there, but it's just like, are you seeing enemies react bullet hit? Are you seeing like sparks fly off of armor? Are you seeing chunks or blood spray from your bullets hit? No. And enemy death animations are currently just not ragdolling, and they're just terrible, taking forever. So you don't know if when a kill shot's a kill shot because you don't see the body drop immediately. It's just like, I am at that point where it's just like I'm okay with hit markers because I need to know that information so I can just move on and go on to the next target. And it's just like the game doesn't give that information in a way that's immersive. So I'm okay with the hit marker because I want that information at least.
Yeah. I'm just that's fair. I'm just not a fan of them personally because again, there's some things I don't want to make Star Citizen Tarkov, but there are some things about Tarkov that I think are really fucking awesome, and I think very fits the original design, like you were discussing about Star Citizen, and it was an immersive tactile experience, and the Call of Duty kind of hit markers on the screen are not that immersive tactile experience. either. And for me, I absolutely hate the idea of the death marker more than anything, because it is so advantageous to know exactly when to stop shooting. I now have a more full mag and I move on to it is so powerful that I don't personally like that. I like the idea of, again, another Tarkov thing of like you hear the AI yelling or whatever when they die, that kind of thing.
Even the character just yelling out like, oh,
exactly.
Like, it just goes a long way to be like, oh, okay, I can move on now. If it was like that, and if it was actually, if it was like that, and we already had systems like that, then yeah, I'd be like, well, get rid of the hit markers. Like, we don't need it because it's very immersive already. But that immersion isn't there.
I love Zach. Zach is here in chat. And I'm not afraid to say this with him here in chat. I think Zach defends his position very strongly, but I also think there's probably a reason for it. Is you gotta let it play out a little bit. But what I don't think, what I get from Zach as well, is that he is willing over time to move from that position if it eventually makes sense. So like what I'm getting for you is this is the end. It's over. But the beginning of this show is, and he just said in chat, I'm more than happy to be wrong. And he has been. I know he handled...
savage. Rip Zach.
No, I know Zach very strongly held his position on the way the grenade launcher and the railgun was in a previous patch, right?
Oh, God.
And has made those changes, right? Because they wanted to experiment with things. So for me, I'm looking at this and going, we're still, hopefully, in a lot of ways, still experimenting, right? And there's some things that they're willing to move from, and maybe some things that they aren't. And my question for you then, Nick, to not be taking up too much of the call here and giving you more opportunity, is are you feeling like this is the end and that they aren't willing to move from these positions because of maybe the way he's defending it on Spectrum or something like that? Because even though he's defending his position, I feel like he's defending his position of, fuck, guys, just fucking try it. It's wave 1. You haven't had it for more than 5 minutes, And I'm still in the process of working on it with you. But again, the hit markers and the kill marker, those are
I would say,
there,
Yeah,
so,
I'll make it quick, and I would say that the way Zach is defending his positions on the Spectrum and everything is not making it sound like he wants to move from his positions.
Okay. Yeah.
And does not want to act on community feedback, and is more just defending his position than wanting to know where other people are coming from.
And that sucks because that's not the case at all. And I don't think that's I don't think that's what's happening, because he has absolutely moved from his position or the original design throughout the entire Evo cycle and throughout everything. So
I'm not Evo, and I don't see those kind of changes happening though.
Yeah.
And it's more, I more see the public facing side of Spectrum, where he's just kind of
Spectrum fucking sucks, bro.
It really seems like
problem. You're on Spectrum. What are you doing?
There's Zach's problem too.
Isn't that where the devs say to go, though? I'm sorry.
No, I know. It's so impossible to. This is such a tough situation, because we're making major changes, and like again, it's all on like the vibe check on how you're reading the way they're writing it, and I read it as like, just give it a chance. Give me the feedback, and I'm willing to move from that position. But it's hard to see that because of I run through this problem as well, is the way I say things, people take it in a way that is not the way I'm putting it out in the world in how I see it. Right.
Yeah. And the one thing I say is just like, there's one thing to say, like, what do you like and don't like about this system? Well, it's like, well, I just don't like the whole system to begin with. So it's just like, how do I give good feedback on that?
Okay, but do you not like the procedure? Like, do you really hate the entire fucking system? Because I don't know how you can.
I don't hate the entire system. There's definitely good steps with, like, I really like the recoil now. The recoil is feeling good. It's feeling a bit disconnected, but like there's good things there. But a lot of it's the UI stuff where it's just like,
fine. But take what you just said and the way you just said it, and then understand why Zach might get defensive. Because you just said you hate the entire system 2 seconds ago, and I asked a question, you go, no, I don't exactly hate the entire, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
so
I separate. I
separate is hard, and that's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, but it's just like you're kind of putting the whole FPS system, and I'm more looking at focus systems. But I was also thinking of more focus systems of like, combat advisor, reticle, all that stuff. That would be a separate system than the recoil system to me. So.
Yeah, I thought we were going the whole FPS. Everything sucks.
No.
That's how you made it sound.
I look at subsystems.
Fair enough.
Yours is very general. Mine was more I'm looking at more specific. Like I can break apart like the separate systems that make the whole FPS.
But do you get the point I was trying to make?
Yes, I do understand the point you make. Yeah.
I perceived what you were saying as different than what you actually meant.
And that's even with speaking. That's even without text.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is tough, and that's why I think the devs at the company want to make the changes that they in their minds feel like are correct. Give them to us. Give them the time. Again, we're just in wave 1. You weren't even in Evo, so you're just getting a taste of them now. Get all that feedback in and move and make changes. And I think I think we need to embrace that. And I think we need to embrace somebody who, whether you like the way they're posting on Spectrum or not, is engaging with backers and is willing to move from those positions. So I want you to leave this call hopefully feeling less doom and gloom. And this is from me, the doomiest motherfucker on the planet, and go.
The doomiest guy is like, yo,
yeah, even
is that all that bad?
Exactly. Well, it's not that it's all that bad. It's like, give it a chance, man. Give it a chance. So like, give it and be vocal with your feedback, and they will listen to it and they will do something with it. This isn't, for me, this isn't the end. There's no shot that this is the end with all of these things. And something like a hit marker can easily disappear. Something like glint can easily disappear when better things come online and things that make more sense.
Well,
That's
hoping
how I look at it.
Yeah, I do hope things get better because I don't want them to get worse. I want them to get better.
I don't think anyone wants them to get worse. I hope no one wants them to get worse.
No, but I think some people think the situation has gotten worse. And then Zach, we'll just read what he wrote, because game director, which I assume is Richard Tyrer now, reads feedback threads. He calls me in his office, look at what people are saying, and we've had conversations about community reactions to Glint and what other things we could explore, etc. See? So, like, yes. Like, the thing is you also have to remember what it's like. Like, Nick, you've streamed on Twitch. You've made YouTube videos. There's no way you haven't gotten an idiotic comment from somebody, right?
Oh, all the time.
Right?
Yep.
Exactly. So, like, defending, like, I get them every day because I'm an idiot. So I get more idiotic comments than most people because I think my position is correct. They think theirs is correct. And then you find yourself having to defend yourself. And I can only imagine what it's like to be them and making big changes and then having the community like lose their mind. So if they end up defending themselves at times, I can understand why. And just as long as they're willing to listen, which I really do, I with my heart of hearts believe that they are and willing to make those changes, then I don't think it's as scary as we may seem. I think Yogi did that with Avenger. I think Zach is doing that throughout the Evo cycle. Shotguns were an absolute joke, and they're still, some of them, pretty fucking bad. And I think that they'll get everything in the right place at some point. But again, I feel exactly the same as you do with the helmet visor stuff, and would love to see it be lit on fire. So yeah.
To sum it up, Nick. You're wrong. Please send all of your pledges to me. I will take all of them. Thank you very much.
Actually, he's completely right. And it's just a matter of what CIG does with what he said. Yeah. It's a matter of what CIG does with what he said and how quickly they iterate on it. And God damn it, it sounds like they're iterating much faster than they ever had before.
Yep.
So
which is good, because that usually means they're kind of gunning for the finish line if they're doing things quickly.
Which is good and bad, right? Because it might be bad with your doom and gloom.
Yeah. But it could iterate quickly the wrong way, and it could not be good. But I hope they just take feedback and they make it good. I want a good game at the end of it with 1.0. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And I want to have fun with it.
I think we're in a place where there's a bunch of devs that moved over from Squadron and are actually doing what they can, and I think they're dealing with us for the first time ever, which isn't a great experience all the time either, right? So
yeah.
All right.
I've taken up enough
slack.
time. Yeah. I've taken up enough of your time. That'll be it for me.
Yeah, man. So yeah,
Easy.
love you, Nick.
All right, thank you.
Sorry for clapping.
It's all good.
I know.
Bye.
No, that was really shitty. As I was
So
doing it, I was
happy
like,
that call's over. God damn.
sorry, Croncy. I felt like
I
it
didn't
was
notice
really
you
important.
clapped.
I thought it was really important to get that point across. I just feel so strongly that they're finally making the game, and that they do feel at times like they care and want to make some changes. And we, for the first time ever, like, okay, we had 12 years of just wait while they did nothing, and now we have, I don't know, hopefully not anywhere near as long of like just wait while they fucking do something. But this is gonna be our last caller, guys. Is Craban? Okay, so we're gonna bring him in. Hey,
Craban.
Or Craban.
Craban, Mike.
Hello.
How you doing, Craban?
I can't read.
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good.
Fantastic. What would you like to talk about? Is this the first time you've called on the pod?
I think so.
It is. It is.
Hell yeah.
I actually joined the
Craban's from my
Discord just
community.
before. I'm the guy that makes everything blow up on accident.
Nice.
Yeah. He says accident, but
So he messes
Well,
with
yes, of course.
you? Of course. Perfect.
not on purpose.
Sure.
All right. So the thing I want to talk about is actually not about explosions this time. I want to talk about distortion weapons and the engineering gameplay, because prior to 3.22, I mean, clearly distortion weapons were overtuned, and they rightfully nerfed it right into the ground with 3.22. But from my research about distortion weapons and the engineering gameplay, even at CitizenCon, like 5 months ago, they didn't really show anything that relates to engineering gameplay with distortion weapons.
Yes.
So I feel like there are just no systems for it in place, which feels for me like a huge letdown, because just right off the top of my head, I've got like a couple of good ideas on how to implement distortion damage in the new system.
The thing that I always go with is, especially when you're about to give suggestions, I guarantee that they've thought about all these suggestions as well. And then the one question I'll ask you is, what do you think is more of a priority? Is it to have the engineering systems make the most sense and build distortions around those, or do you think it makes sense to take what previously existed and make engineering make sense with that? And Torsten is here now. He just said, well, smiley face. So he's listening.
Ruh-roh.
So again, one of the beautiful parts of this podcast is sometimes you have these opportunities, and now you have the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, Torsten was actually waiting for this call to figure out what he was going to do for. So this is all you. Yep. We can all blame you if any of these happen.
No pressure.
About that question, let's change topic. No. So I feel like, I mean, I guess probably they've thought about how to implement it. There's just no way they didn't, because it's a massive part of the game. There's ships that just revolve around EMP and distortion.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I guess the most how to say, the most pressing thing for me is that there's no communication about it.
It's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. What I'd like for them to do, of course, is not just make the old system like sort of get shoehorned into what they have now, which is this incredible, awesome gameplay loop. I'd like for them to build something that fits the new system and makes use of the new structure they've built.
I think they do too.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think that would be the goal.
Yeah. So I'll say, like you would have seen Craban when we showed the engineering gameplay and stuff. Mm-hmm. There's clearly very there's very like obvious ways that they could sort of integrate not just distortion into the engineering gameplay loop itself, like and how it interacts with that, but other damage types and that they've talked about before. It's just Distortion is kind of the only one special damage type that ever got into the game. You know, we've never seen Incendiary, we've never seen Flak, all that sort of stuff. And specifically for Distortion, I almost guarantee you, and if I'm wrong, Craban, you can make my character in Stasis for a couple months.
Oh boy.
I almost guarantee you that where it's going to interact is specifically with the power generation that we're seeing in the engineering gameplay loop. It seems like it's going to be a great way for it to interact. It also feels like it's going to be a great way for you as an engineer to interact with someone who's distorting you and you having to deal with this new threat. Yeah. So in addition to that, I also don't think it's like this is, we've said it before today as well, this is the third day of wave 1 of us seeing engineering for an experimental mode for 323 with one ship.
Yeah.
So the only thing we've seen is that there is a difference between ballistics and lasers and how they interact with the engineering mode, and that's because the only ship that you can fight against it has lasers and ballistics. So I think it's going to be fine. I think because we were talking about just the power generation, I wouldn't be surprised if they had that in mind when they were creating that, of like, when we do EMPs, when we do distortions, we want it to interact with the system. It's a very easy resource system. Sweet, let's go.
Yeah. And somebody in Twitch has said early feedback is important. Like Paramount, man. So big now. And like saying that, hey, I really want distortions to be a part of this is absolutely valuable and important feedback. And I think most people would agree. It is weird to have the thing that did this process for so long not be a part of the process right now. It is odd. But I also love the idea of engineering is also to make every weapon type disable a ship. It's just a matter of how, right? Like distortions may do it in a different way than you would with ballistics or lasers. Like we actually saw at the beginning of the initial the initial engineering first patch that we had was, correct me if I'm wrong, but lasers did not penetrate or didn't penetrate ships as much.
Correct.
And ballistics did, right? And then they were like, okay, well, we can't do that, so let's change it a little. Let's change a little bit there, and so on and so forth. So we'll gradually see this grow into what it should be. But I think we can very much tell that the goal here is to have ships disable instead of just randomly explode all the time. So I don't know. Man, you didn't really give any of your solutions.
Ideas?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let them go.
So I mean, the way it works right now, especially for laser and projectile weapons, should be that where you hit is where you damage components. And I feel that system would actually work for distortion weapons as well. Because if you know, for example, where the power grid goes, or the pipes, well, I mean, pipes, old school term, but you know what I mean? Where the pipes go, if you shoot with distortion weapons, I feel like what they could do is damage the connection between two fuse boxes, for example. Or sort of stop, let's say, a cooler from working for X amount of time, or until someone hits a reset button at the cooler or something like that. I mean, there's just a lot of ways, and the main issue that I had was that so far none of them have, at least to the community, been explored by CIG. But I think it can be a very, very interesting gameplay loop.
But it's been 3 days. So you're not like freaking
of course.
out, are you?
No.
Okay.
The thing that I just
it's just something that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Like in the future. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the thing that I just beg for is that once 323 goes live, that they don't just take the nerfed distortion damage from 322 and put it over the new system, rendering the new system completely vulnerable to just people getting ships with loads of distortion guns and shutting whole ships down, when there's a whole other system that they can use to make it actually interesting.
The first thing that comes to my mind is something that I absolutely hate when I hear it. So, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Is like live is still a testing environment, right? So sometimes they might tweak things in a certain way because they're really curious about how ballistics will play into this or how lasers will play into this. So they like artificially tune down some system that existed there before to a way that like there's no way you would ever use this thing, and you would only use those things because they maybe sometimes want to dial those things in. Do you think that could be what's happening right now? And it's, hey, I agree with you. I would love to see 323 with all the systems working and everything being just fine. But would you be understanding if that was the case? And maybe if they just like kind of communicated that to you, you'd be like, all right, well, I guess I got to wait until the next patch and see what happens. And that is, from my perspective, that's an incredibly frustrating thing because we've been dealing with this for years and years and years. But it also is the reality of things, right? So it's like, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Would you be okay if they just like communicated that and?
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, communication is key. That's the hallmark of this open development is communication. Mm-hmm. If you don't communicate, the community will usually assume the bad. Some people might be helpful.
The community still assumes the bad.
Exactly, like in Zach's situation, right? But Torsten communicates a lot on Spectrum about the changes being made and the changes that are coming. So,
yeah. Well, I just hope that they take a look at it, don't leave it behind, and
So your point is, I'd really love to see Distortion in 323, and I'm with you.
If I could,
am I on that?
If I could put one thing on my wish list, it probably would be that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
For
and
sure.
EMP too, man. It just
of course.
Yeah, like especially EMPs, because EMPs are like locked to certain ships, right? So like when they're not part of a useful, I don't like using the word meta, but I guess when they're not part of a meta, those ships just sit and collect dust, and it kind of sucks, right? So obviously we want everything useful, especially when people like bought ships for real money and then they're not fun to use. Kind of blows. So
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Craban, you got anything else before we let you go, or
I guess not.
Okay.
Easy.
Yeah, man.
No worries.
Hopefully
you get your thank you for having me,
dude. Yeah, anytime.
Yeah. Thanks for calling, man.
Later, dude. All right, I let him go. And was this our longest podcast? No, the longest one was the one without
technically
you, right?
the Avenger one. Yeah.
But this was, I think, our longest. So it's
yeah. There was a lot to talk about. We talked without callers for a full hour.
Yes, somebody even suggested it. Like, can you go to callers earlier? And I was like, yeah, but it was hard for.
We want to talk about stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like I like that the show is like a mix of us and them. And we tried to like mixing them in while we're going, but then you have callers that want to talk about a subject that's coming up later.
Yeah, it gets a bit
and
messy.
It never quite.
Yeah.
So we're all figuring things out. Yeah. Somebody chat. How dare you talk on your podcast? It's like, it's kind of the point. So, but I don't know. Is the state of Star Citizen concerning? I don't know how it can't be. I've
never been concerned in my life. No, like I said, I think the only concerning thing to me will be if we go through this week with either, it doesn't have to be both, but either no performance improvements or no additional features. If that happens,
it's getting dicey.
Then it's getting super dicey because at least here where I am, it's the 15th of April right now. We're halfway through the month. So
you're living in the future.
But I'm fine today.
Yeah,
I am living in the future.
Yes,
watch out in an hour, Mike.
I very much share the same sentiment. Is like it is not Invictus isn't next week. But I got my eyes glued to Wednesday, and I feel like Wednesday is going to be a letdown. And that will suck if it is. And I'm really hoping it's not. But I will be so sad. Because man, the thing I was looking forward to the most is still not here yet.
For the longest time, I've been talking about how if some more things drop off 323, still like a great patch, a massive patch. But if it's the one thing that you've been after, if it's that one, then it sucks.
That was the one thing for me. The one thing, all the star map and the quality of life and the FPS stuff did really like it. But the one thing that I was really, really excited for, so of course I'm going to be sad, is the sky falling. No. Like I even said that it could come in the .1.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, of course, this guy's not falling. But am I going to play 323 every day if it's not there? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I will do other things. And I think that's healthy. So I don't know. Like I'm not going to be yelling at anything if they're not there. I'm just going to be like, damn. Well, that sucks. Sure. And that's pretty much it. I'm over. I will get mad about things, but I am over the like, oh, this thing didn't make it in, and get mad about that. Hell no.
And it's fine anyway, because next week we're going to be talking about how great freight elevators is because it got brought into the patch on
God,
Monday.
I hope you're right, Croncy. And so I look forward to answering the call next week.
Answering the call? I was wondering where you were going for that.
I don't have any outro, so bye, everybody. Thank you so much for watching.
Goodbye, everyone.
We have them. They exist. We found them. They're not on my computer, but I'm going to be able to get them. So we'll be back to normal next week. But thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, all that stuff if you're on YouTube. If you're on Twitch, it'll be up on YouTube in a little bit. All right. So thank you again for